Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. I'm in American comics, I pursue eternity with super god technology. Chapter 41. Who are you? What do you want to do? Star-Lord couldn't move at the moment, and the little girl following him also ran away in fright at the moment. I didn't want to do anything, I just wanted to ask, how did the cosmic spirit ball get into Thanos' hands? Before Wu Chen spoke, the location of the two had been moved to a remote corner. Thanos. So you're not with Thanos? Star-Lord asked back. It doesn't make any sense for you to be with me or not, you just need to tell me how the orb of the universe got its hands on Thanos. Wu Chen didn't have so much time to fool around with Star-Lord here. The purpose of his coming out this time is to find Thanos, find the rest of the infinite gems, and let Infinity War be cut in half in his own hands. It was stolen from me, and what Ebony Maw came with Black Dwarf, I couldn't beat it and had to run away. Star-Lord knew that this was someone he couldn't afford to provoke, so he told the truth. Anyway, the cosmic spirit ball is no longer in his hands, so Wu Chen shouldn't shoot at him no matter what. Ebony Maw and Black Dwarf came in person, and it seems that Thanos really saw me as a threat, planning every step carefully from the start. Wu Chen let go of the shackles of Star-Lord. The desired information has been obtained, and it is useless to keep him. The shackles on Star-Lord's body were untied, and he turned and left without hesitation. The database of the Nova Corps has been cracked. Gamora came with Ronan's people. After that, the Nova Corps discovered their whereabouts and wanted to drive them away, but they were picked up by the Thanos Corps who came later. Had a head-on conflict with Thanos and avoided the edge. Gene Systems reports the latest to Wu Chen. Gamora was with Ronan's people, and Thanos sent someone to pick her up again. Could it be that Thanos already knew that Gamora held the Soul Gem's position? Wu Chen's expression was solemn. According to the memory data in your brain, only Gamora knows where the Soul Gem is, and Gamora at the moment never told anyone this information. Thanos should not know this layer. Said the genetic system. If I used to, I would have thought so, but what happened recently made me realize that there may be some people behind Thanos who we don't know are providing important information. Wu Chen said. This point, Wu Chen had already guessed when Nidui met Thanos for the first time. You think someone is helping Thanos behind the scenes? Could it be Kong the Conqueror? Genetic Systems asked. Not necessarily. After all, if Conqueror Kong Ruijun could come directly to this timeline, or if he could directly intervene in this timeline, he would have already done it himself. Wu Chen didn't know much about Kong the Conqueror, but he understood a truth. Before the opponent has grown up, it is much safer to destroy the opponent first than to wait for him to become stronger. If it wasn't Kong the Conqueror, who else could it be? The rational brain of the genetic system cannot analyze what the situation is. Wu Chen was lost in thought, and he didn't want to understand what the situation was. System, has the big clock recently monitored the energy breath from the parallel universe? Wu Chen asked. No. The big clock has been monitoring the entire Earth and the known universe, and once the energy of the parallel universe appears, the big clock will definitely be able to find it. The genetic system answered. What if it's outside the known universe? Or, as before, it took some special means to shield its own energy aura before passing through. Wu Chen continued to talk about his guess. The genetic system didn't know how to answer for a while. The Marvel movie universe is far more complex than the super god universe. It is extremely difficult for the big clock to completely cover the entire universe and to monitor the information of the entire universe. Coupled with those strange magic and divine power, the big clock is even more difficult to control. After the Infinity War is over, we must find the Book of Waishandi as soon as possible. Only by knowing more, we can further grasp everything. Wu Chen said. His attention has returned to reality. No matter how many thoughts you have in your heart, there is no way to do it now. Only by starting with the present can you better control the future. Can I come with you? Star-Lord, who had already escaped, was running back at this moment. At the same time, Wu Chen saw the Nova Corps ship. This is being hunted down, and you want to come to me for help. Wu Chen could see the situation clearly at a glance. Wu Chen took control of Star-Lord in a large audience. This matter has already been reported to Nova Corps by passers-by, and Nova Corps' response is inevitable. After they rushed over, they could naturally recognize that Star-Lord was a predator, so they began to hunt down. Brother, as long as you can help me this time, I will definitely repay you in the future. Quote. The speed with which Xingju recognized his big brother was somewhat beyond Wu Chen's expectations. You want to repay me? A mud bodhisattva who can't protect himself, what can you do for me? Wu Chen looked at Xingju. He was really not interested in this person. When I was looking for the cosmic orb, I met a strange person, and when he was talking to Ebony Ma and the others, he seemed to mention a person in black armor like you. I think, that said, it should be you. Star-Lord said. Weirdo. Wu Chen's face changed slightly. Previously, he was still thinking, how on earth did Thanos know so much about the intelligence of the Earth and infinite gems, but now, it seems that this clue is about to surface. The man is dressed in a dark blue robe, and has a red cloak behind his back. Wang Hao. Doctor Strange. Before Xingju's words were finished, a video man appeared in Wu Chen's mind. Doctor, I don't think he looks like a normal person, because he has an extra eye on his forehead, which looks very penetrating. Star-Lord said. Third eye. To put it that way, it should be Doctor Strange from another universe, and after having been exposed to the Dark Book. Wu Chen already had the answer in his heart. Doctor Strange of other universes. When the Illuminati invaded before, the magic used to block the search of the big clock was what Doctor Strange cast. System, contact Earth. I need to know Doctor Strange on Earth, what's going on right now? Wu Chen said that the gene system is also at the moment, directly sending messages to Scarlet Witch and others in the Earth Research Institute through the big clock. Over on Earth, Quicksilver and Vision travel to Kamartaj to investigate information about Doctor Strange. On Xandar Star, Wu Chen was looking at the Nova Corps fighter planes gathered in front. We are the Nova Corps of Xandar Star, and we are arresting the cosmic predators in accordance with the law. Please get out of the way for unrelated people. Inside the fighter plane, the Nova Corps were shouting at Wu Chen. This person has just provided me with useful information, and I have to protect him. Wu Chen said. You're protecting a predator. Could it be that you're one of them? There is no information about Wu Chen in the Nova Corps, but in their cognition, the only ones who will shelter the looters are the looters. I am Wu Chen, from Earth, the only known technology god in the galaxy universe. Wu Chen's eyes turned into deep black, and a huge amount of shadow appeared in front of those Nova Corps warriors. Since Wu Chen unleashed the power of the galaxy in the face of Death God Hela, Wu Chen's god-level genes have been fully revealed. The progression from the third generation of super fighters to the real divine body is the manifestation of a characteristic. As many god-level genes such as the three major god-building projects, Space-Time Rose, Thunder Angel, and Fighting Over the Buddha were adapted at the same time, after Wu Chen's divinity was displayed, the power was even stronger. Shenxian disappeared, and everyone in the Nova Corps was stunned in place. Wu Chen swaggered around and walked away. Although Star-Lord, who didn't know why, was surprised, he followed Wu Chen out of the encirclement. It wasn't until Wu Chen and Star-Lord left, that the talents of Nova Corps finally recovered. They looked at each other blankly, recalling the scene that had just appeared in their minds. What the hell is going on here? Who is that man? You have to report the situation to Nova Supreme quickly, and you must not provoke this person easily in the future. Order all Nova Empire personnel to avoid him as much as possible. All these people had doubts, but all these people also had a firm thought in their hearts. That is, don't mess with Wu Chen if you mess with anyone. On the other side, Wu Chen, who left here, was separated from Star-Lord. He didn't have time to hang around here. He had to go to the Vomir Star as soon as possible, because only there would he be able to further confirm whether Thanos really knew from Gamora where the Soul Gem was going. Previously, Wu Chen couldn't directly use the wormhole to walk in the universe, because in many places in the Marvel movie universe, Wu Chen didn't know their specific coordinates in the universe. But now, the big clock has cracked the Nova Corps database, and all the information in it is naturally recorded by the big clock. With the detailed coordinates of the planets in the Milky Way recorded by the Nova Empire for thousands of years, Wu Chen can directly open the wormhole to shuttle within this range. Crossing the wormhole, Wu Chen was able to come to Vomir Star in a very short time. And the moment he came here, he already realized that he was late. The red skull left behind has disappeared. There was no powerful energy on the cliff, nor the special aura of Vomir Star. The big clock, retrieving the anomalous energy field in space. Wu Chen said. The retrieval program of the big clock opened instantly. There is a special space force field that is completely different from the surrounding space, but this force field is rapidly shifting. The big clock reported the situation. A special space force field. What space force field? Wu Chen wondered. Similar to the dark matter plane, but from an energy analysis point of view, it appears to be similar to those other infinite gems analyzed previously. Said the big clock. Infinite gems. Could it be Soul Gem's own space? Wu Chen suddenly remembered that in his introduction to infinite gems, there are two versions of Soul Gem. In the movie, the Soul Gem is described only as capable of stealing, manipulating or modifying souls. But in the comics, in addition to those abilities in the movie, it is also the world entrance to a small universe, that is, another dimension hidden within the Soul Gem. I don't know, but one thing is clear, Soul Gem is different from other infinite gems, it has a level of independent thinking that no other infinite gems have. 5. Big Clock has already analyzed 3 infinite gems, and has some understanding of infinite gems. In addition to the information in Wu Chen's brain memory, the particularity of Soul Gem can be judged. There's also a situation where in the movie, Natasha Romanoff sacrificed herself to get the Soul Gem, and then Banner snapped her fingers and tried to bring her back but couldn't. Wu Chen said, he is analyzing according to his memory in the current situation. It can be said that infinite gems cannot interfere with each other, but the broken mind gem can be restored under the manipulation of time gem. So, if the 6 infinite gems can summon back those humans who were also taken away by the infinite gems, they should also be able to bring Natasha Romanoff back, but in the movie, none of this happens. You mean that Natasha Romanoff couldn't be brought back for another reason? After listening to what Wu Chen said, Big Clock seemed to have a clearer analysis idea. Natasha Romanoff can't be brought back for one reason, and that is, Natasha Romanoff is in a world beyond the reach of infinite gems. Wu Chen said, the untouchable world, the one where the parallel universe or the Soul Gem exists as an entrance. But now, we can't determine which one it is, because Natasha Romanoff got Soul Gem by going back through the timeline in the movie. Is the one she is in the timeline of the main universe or another parallel universe, and now no conclusion yet. When Wu Chen thought of this, he already had an idea in his heart. Natasha Romanoff in the movie can't be brought back, it's not known whether she's in an alternate universe or because of Soul Gem. But in this world, the Gamora that Thanos sacrificed to get the Soul Gem is definitely because of the Soul Gem. If this is the case, then when Wu Chen finds all the infinite gems one day, he can verify this with a snap of his fingers. Although this has nothing to do with what Wu Chen is going to do right now. But once Wu Chen's guess is correct, then he is equivalent to opening the door to a new world. Take control of a new world and tap into the power of infinite gems even further. In any case, having stronger power is only good for Wu Chen and not bad. Wu Chen was interested in the discovery and speculation of Soul Gem. But Soul Gem was taken by Thanos, which made Wu Chen a little uncomfortable. Strength, space, soul, Thanos has mastered 3 infinite gems just like Wu Chen. In other words, if the two compare the number of infinite gems, neither of them has an advantage. Against Thanos, Wu Chen couldn't find a chance to start. And Thanos should be the same to Wu Chen. Wu Chen, we have found Strange, his condition is stable and normal, and the Ancient One Magician is also here. 5. Scarlet Witch has an update on Wu Chen. In the research room, directly open the virtual projection, Wu Chen appears, in front of everyone. What the hell is this situation? Dr. Strange asked, and the Ancient One beside him was waiting to learn more. I got a piece of news on Xandar that there is a mysterious person behind Thanos who is helping him. According to my guess, it should be someone from a parallel universe, and it is very likely that it is Strange. Wu Chen said, parallel universe, even if the me there is not exactly the same as the current me, but it's not going to help Thanos, right? Doctor Strange is a little hard to accept. He will travel from another universe and help a guy who wants to destroy half of the life in the universe. As far as I know, that's Strange, he is very likely to have contact with the Dark Book. Wu Chen said, the Book of Darkness. Strange looked puzzled. The Book of Darkness has extremely evil powers, it will corrode people's minds and lead them to darkness. Ancient One said, for so many years, the Dark God Book has always been the most feared forbidden book by magicians, because the Dark God Book was originally extremely evil. Even if you just glance at it, the Dark Divine Book will have a great impact on the magician originally. If you are deeply involved in it, it will be even more difficult to turn back. Ancient One said again, Stephen Strange, you are a person with extremely high magical abilities and a sense of justice, but you are also a person with a strong purpose. In order to fight Thanos, you in another universe chose to use the power of the Dark God Book, and after being affected by it, in order not to let your universe be threatened by Kong the Conqueror, you will come to this universe to help Thanos, which is also within the scope of reasonable interpretation. Wu Chen expressed his guess, but this is also what he actually saw in Doctor Strange 2, when Doctor Strange of the main universe MCU traveled through other parallel universes. Doctor Strange in each parallel universe chose a different way to fight Thanos. The MCU's Doctor Strange chose to take the initiative to hand over the Time Gem and let Iron Man win. In Doctor Strange in other parallel universes, someone chose to use the power of the Book of Darkness against Thanos. Two magicians, I hope you can understand that since we are in the universe in front of us, we can only prioritize the safety of our universe, and the actions of Doctor Strange, who traveled from Otherworld, have threatened the safety of this universe, so, I need you to help me find him. Wu Chen said, I see. Doctor Strange replied, the question now is, even if you can't find the whereabouts of the traveler, how can we help? Ancient One asked. The big clock has the ability to retrieve key information in the entire universe, but I have technology and I don't know much about magic, so it is difficult for me to locate the whereabouts of Doctor Strange, a parallel world who is good at using magic. Wu Chen said, then what exactly do you want us to do? Doctor Strange asked. I need you to upload the knowledge of magic to the database of the big clock in detail. Only by mastering the fundamentals of magic can we trace the magic originally and find the Doctor Strange who came from the parallel world. Wu Chen originally wanted to learn magic to end magic by himself. But in the current situation, there is no time for him to study slowly. The Thanos who got 3 infinite gems were already a big threat from the beginning, and together with a Doctor Strange who came from a parallel world who had learned the magic from the Dark God Book, their danger would be even higher. The longer Wu Chen delays, the greater the threat Thanos and the parallel Doctor Strange can pose. Wu Chen doesn't have the time to take it slow. Both Ancient One and Doctor Strange fell into hesitation. Uploading all the magic knowledge to the big clock is equivalent to sharing all this with Wu Chen. From the beginning, Wu Chen was already an omnipotent being who could do anything from heaven to earth, and possessed the most powerful technological power in the universe. If this allows him to completely control the power of magic, then Wu Chen's strength will become stronger. Not to mention, the last group of people on Earth who can avoid the monitoring of the big clock, their whereabouts will be the same as other ordinary human beings, completely monitored by a large clock. Don't think about so many useless things. You have already told me about the Weixin Emperor's book, and I have found a way to go to find it, but now the time is urgent, and I don't have the spare time. Wu Chen knew the reason for the two people's hesitation, and immediately reminded them. You actually found a way to go and find it. Ancient One looked a little stunned. In order for Wu Chen to protect Doctor Strange in this universe from being exposed to the Dark Book, she exchanged Wu Chen's promise with clues from the Book of Weixin Emperor. But at that time, Ancient One felt that even if Wu Chen knew about it, it would be difficult to find the Book of Emperor Weixin by crossing the parallel universe. But I never thought that Wu Chen actually found a way to go to find it. Well, since that's the case, we have nothing to hesitation. Even the Book of Emperor Weixin is already at his fingertips, so there is no need to hide other magical abilities from Wu Chen. The Ancient One had made a choice, and Doctor Strange had no objection. The two masters and apprentices began to upload all the magic they knew and mastered into Wu Chen's big clock database. The so-called upload is actually that they actively open their brains, so that the big clock can enter the information center of their brains, and directly read the information data they have from it. That Doctor Strange's time to learn magic is still short, and his understanding of magic is not as extensive and profound as Ancient One. But the big clock can simultaneously record Doctor Strange's past life experiences and thoughts. This will definitely help Wu Chen when he is dealing with the Doctor Strange who traveled from a parallel universe. Wu Chen returned to Xandar Star and found a hotel to stay at random. For the rest of the day, the Great Clock collected magical messages from the Ancient One and Doctor Strange. The big clock is the most powerful celestial computer in the super God universe, and it also integrates all the large-scale celestial computer functions in the super God universe. In terms of computing ability, the speed of the big clock is absolutely unparalleled. The magical information that was uploaded to the database was quickly sorted out. Wu Chen and the big clock are integrated with each other, and Wu Chen can also understand all the information recorded by the big clock. Now, Wu Chen began to analyze the entire magic system after understanding the magic information. The system of magic is so wonderful, no wonder the Doctor Strange of the parallel universe can avoid the search of the big clock. Wu Chen, this is also the first time to really understand the so-called magic of the Marvel movie universe. Before, he only knew the strength of Ancient One, and also knew the power of magical treasures such as the Dark Book, the Eye of Almodo and the Book of Waishandi. But now that he understood the system, he realized that in some aspects, magic actually has advantages beyond the reach of supernatural technology. It's like a portal. Although it can't enter and exit freely and flexibly like a micro wormhole, it ignores the coordinate information when it is opened. As long as you want, it can go wherever you want to go. In the final battle of Avengers 4, the magicians opened the portal to let all the Justice Legions in the entire universe fight together. They didn't know the exact location of each other at first, but they could accurately send each team to the main battlefield, including those superhero and raider legions originally scattered across the universe. Supernatural technology uses various basic energies that already exist in the universe, including dark energy, light energy, biological energy and void. What these magics use is a special energy that only exists in this universe. From the understanding of Ancient One, this special energy is called eternity, and it seems that a statue was born at the beginning of the universe and surpassed Almighty God above all parallel universes. The genetic system said, these are the information that the big clock got from the Ancient One's memory when the Ancient One and the actual Doctor uploaded the magical information. Marvel is actually a complex world. Although it is the Marvel movie universe, it is still unknown how much it has in common with the comics universe. Wu Chen said, the information about comics in your memory is very messy, but one thing is certain, that is, all kinds of chaotic and self-contradictory settings have turned a world that originally had a certain rationality into a world that relies entirely on a hodgepodge, said the genetic system. There is such a trend in the Marvel movie universe, but we are in it, and we can't change the changes in the entire universe. All we can do is to make ourselves invincible. Wu Chen has always believed that eternity has one core point of view. As long as you don't die, you can live forever. The most mysterious and powerful forces known in the Marvel movie universe, there are currently 3 known. The infinite gems that rule the universe. The Book of the Dark Gods and the Book of Waishandi that opens a parallel universe. And there is that eternity that Asgard and the Greek gods have said to be omnipotent. Eternity has not been in contact with us until now, but infinite gems and the Book of Darkness, we have all met. When Wu Chen said this, Time Gem was summoned by him. Half of the 6 infinite gems are in my hands. The Dark Book was used by Doctor Strange from the alternate universe, and is now helping Thanos in his fight against me. And eternity, now only abstracted in the consciousness of the Ancient One, is the source of all magic. Of the 3 Marvel movie universe characters identified by Wu Chen as possessing great power, 2 have now been directly related to Wu Chen. Existence is reality. Although the big clock cannot fully interpret the world, the original advantage of the big clock lies in recording, analyzing, interpreting, calculating, simulating, and finally realizing it. The gene system said that from the very beginning, it has relied on biology to expand the lifespan of human genes and enhance the power of human beings. After that, the fixed star drive, dark energy drive and even the power of the void will be installed into the super soldier. This was impossible at the beginning, but it was achieved under the research of the super gods of the universe and gods. And the big clock was originally the crystallization of the wisdom of the super gods in the universe. Now these unknown forces in the Marvel movie universe, as long as the big clock can record them one by one, they can naturally analyze, interpret, complete calculations and simulations, and finally install them in Wu Chen, the only technology god. The big clock is a plugin, and how to develop the plugin to the extreme depends on me as a user. Wu Chen said, he knows the ability of the big clock, and he understands that the most powerful gods in the super god universe are not their power, but their knowledge. According to the genetic system, the advantage of the big clock lies in recording, analyzing, interpreting, calculating, simulating, and then materializing. But this all requires a process, and the final realization cannot be completed without the participation of Wu Chen, the controller. Moreover, what the big clock masters is only the technology and ability that the super gods of the universe have created. Once it reaches beyond that category, it needs Wu Chen and the big clock to study together. System, I need to further strengthen myself. Can my current super gene be adapted to the third generation divine body? Wu Chen asked. Since it became the third generation of super fighters, it has been thinking about whether it can go further and let the body of this super fighter truly evolve into a divine body. Although they are all third generation, the gap between the divine body and the super warrior is still huge amounts of. Moreover, the evolution from super soldier to divine body will bring a qualitative leap to 5.5 for those who originally possessed it. The super gene in your body can already be adapted to the third generation divine body. The genetic system answered. Okay, then give me an upgrade. Wu Chen said. Yes, the genetic system answered. After that, a powerful energy began to constantly flow into Wu Chen's body from the surrounding space, and Wu Chen's super gene, originally, also began to change. Under the premise that Big Clock originally had an upgrade plan, it was not difficult to upgrade originally. In just a few tens of seconds, Wu Chen has completed the upgrade. But for Wu Chen, who mastered the divine body for the first time, it brought an unprecedented strong feeling. The source of that energy within the body is constantly emerging, seemingly endless, without an upper limit. This is God, the God who can truly realize eternity in theory. The analysis of the magical energy has been completed, and the energy of the dark sacred book has been searched throughout the universe. The big clock opens the search for Doctor Strange, who has traveled through parallel universes. After Wu Chen was upgraded to a divine body, Wu Chen's most important task now is to find out the whereabouts of Thanos and the parallel Doctor Strange. It's not easy to find Thanos, but it's not difficult to find Doctor Strange from the parallel universe. He has adopted some kind of secret method to travel into this universe, so there will always be a very powerful and unusual magical energy in him. Through the pursuit of this energy, we can find the Doctor Strange of the parallel universe. Target locked. In just a few hours, Big Clock has search results. Looking at the coordinate information provided by the Big Clock, Wu Chen's face darkened. He's actually on Earth. Yes, the helper of Thanos that Wu Chen had been looking for, he was on Earth. Yes, the energy retrieval results are accurate. The Big Clock replied. Open the communication screen, I want to know what he is doing. Wu Chen said. There is a magic field around the other party. If you force open the communication screen, you may be shocked by the grass. The Big Clock reminded. Then open the wormhole and I will go directly. Wu Chen said. The Big Clock will open the wormhole portal directly at the next moment. In just one step, Wu Chen returned to Earth from Xandar Star. Combining the magical space portal with the wormhole ability of the Big Clock, Wu Chen's walking in the universe has become easier. On Earth, Doctor Strange, a parallel universe who was negotiating with a generation of Ant-Man, Drive Pym, immediately stood up when he noticed a portal appeared behind him. He wanted to grab Dr. Pym and leave, but a golden light shot directly at him. In a hurry, he didn't have time to pay attention to Dr. Pym, so he could only retreat quickly, and quickly opened the portal to escape from here. The moment Wu Chen came out, he saw Dr. Pym who was stunned, and a very bad premonition spread in his heart. Did that person ask you to help build a time machine? Wu Chen asked. How do you know? Dr. Pym looked at Wu Chen in surprise. He knows that it's not easy to get infinite gems from me, so he plans to go back to the past to get it. Wu Chen has already understood that the purpose of Doctor Strange in the parallel universe is to destroy the guy who has been eroded by the dark book of God, and his determination is even greater. You go to the Institute and stay for me. Wu Chen waved his hand and threw Dr. Pym directly to the Institute. Wanda, keep an eye on this old man and don't let anyone near him, especially Strange. Wu Chen's voice sounded in Scarlet Witch's mind at the moment when Dr. Pym was sent to the Institute. Scarlet Witch didn't know what was going on, but Wu Chen's eager tone made her realize that the situation was tense. Start the Super God Robot number 18, 19, and 20. Your mission is to watch him 24 hours a day. Scarlet Witch did not dare to neglect. She summoned 3 superhuman robots to guard with her. On the other hand, Wu Chen also acted urgently. Taking advantage of the fact that the big clock can still keep track of Doctor Strange's whereabouts in the parallel universe, Wu Chen must find him and get rid of him as soon as possible. The Doctor Strange in the parallel universe also seemed to have realized that Wu Chen could lock his position. So, after constantly opening the teleportation door many times and failing to get rid of Wu Chen's tracking, he had to teleport to his ally. When Wu Chen caught up, what he saw was a large group of Egg. That's right, this is not Thanos, but Star-Lord's father, Egg, who calls himself the Celestial Race. This is Egg's avatar, to be exact, hundreds of avatars. I didn't expect you to become his helper. Wu Chen looked at Yigo, and the Doctor Strange in the parallel universe who was protected by Yigo. We just made a deal. One of the eagles stepped forward and said to Wu Chen. Trade. Wu Chen wondered. I would give him a hand when necessary and he would show me how I could make my plan come true. Egg said, and at the same time, another Egg had turned to look at Doctor Strange in the parallel universe. Now, if you want me to help you, tell me the method. There is a man named Xingju. He is one of your heirs. He perfectly inherits the genes of your celestial clan. He is now on Xandar Star. The Doctor Strange of the parallel universe told Egg about Star-Lord without saying a word. You didn't lie to me, did you? Egg was skeptical. It's already here, do I still need to do this? Doctor Strange of parallel universe said. Okay, I'll stop him for you, but if you lie to me, you know the consequences. Egg said, and in front of Wu Chen, Egg spoke to Wu Chen again. Now that you already know what's going on, you should leave quickly. In that case, I won't embarrass you. 5. Egg said, it's you who should leave, the one who gets in the way. Wu Chen is not happy now. Why do these villains in the Marvel movie universe always like to run out and mix their own affairs? Originally, as long as they didn't interfere with each other, Wu Chen didn't even bother to pay attention to them. Young man, don't be so arrogant. You may be considered a strong man among ordinary people, but to me, to us, you are just a mortal. Egg, it should be said that the eggs, at the moment have all gathered around. What about mortals? What about gods? Those who should hang you can also hang you. Wu Chen said, the Spear of Eternity has been summoned in his hand. After his flaming spear was destroyed, the Spear of Eternity was Wu Chen's signature weapon. The Spear of Eternity. Are you a descendant of Odin? The moment he saw the Spear of Eternity, Egg was obviously taken aback. Odin, he's not qualified to be my predecessor. Wu Chen said. The Spear of Eternity in his hand swept sharply, and the powerful energy immediately burst out from the tip of the spear. Egg is still afraid of the Spear of Eternity. The duplications of Egg, who were not far from Wu Chen, immediately dodged when they saw Wu Chen attack. The other eggs in the distance summoned white light braids in their hands and threw them towards Wu Chen. Egg, in his first appearance in the Marvel movies, destroyed Sovereign's fleet of long-range drones with just one move. Therefore, Egg's strength is not weak. But at the moment Wu Chen is stronger than him. Because, after becoming a god, Wu Chen can completely reach infinity based on energy. The energy of light is infinite. As long as there is a place where the energy of the universe can reach, Wu Chen's own energy can be unlimited. At this moment, although Wu Chen faced hundreds of eggs alone, both sides were actually separate individuals. Wu Chen relies on the big clock, and all the fixed star energy and dark energy in the entire universe can be controlled by him at will. And behind Egg, there is also a planet that constantly supplies energy to its source. It's just that once they start to compare with each other, the judgment will be made. There were more than a dozen eggs who threw the light whip at Wu Chen, and Wu Chen was alone, but he didn't mean to dodge in the slightest. I saw the long spear in his hand swiping in front of him, and all those light whips were swept up to the spear by him. Pulling hard, the dozen or so eggs were directly pulled into the air by Wu Chen. Taking advantage of these eagles floating in the air, Wu Chen's spear swept 180 degrees, and all these eagles were instantly turned to ashes. How can that be? A Yigo not far away said in a shocked tone. Want to use a lot of duplication to build an advantage. It's a pity that your brain computing ability is too poor, and there is no way to use the strength of these duplications. Wu Chen said that the so-called method of duplication is also found in the big clock, and Wu Chen's original matching fighting victory Buddha gene originally came with this ability. You're right, I really can't use all the combat power of these duplications. Egg originally looked surprised, but now he doesn't care anymore. You are only one person, and I have hundreds of duplications. No matter how strong your body is, if you fight so many duplications with me, you will be exhausted even if you don't die. By then, I will still be able to recover to the highest level. Be in good shape to deal with you. Egg said. One person, how do you know that I'm the only one? Wu Chen smiled. He didn't intend to use the ability of duplication, but now, looking at Egg's confident look, he couldn't help but want to slap him hard in the face. Isn't it just a duplication? Lao Su can also. Wu Chen said. The spear of eternity slammed into the ground. In an instant, dozens of warriors wearing dark alloy armor flew out of Wu Chen's body. These duplications are holding long spears one by one. Although they are not eternal spears, they are all flame spears. Wu Chen collected a lot of dark silver and dark iron elements in the universe, and with the vibranium he got from Wakanda, how could he only build a flame spear for himself? The reason why he didn't use it after that one was broken was because he understood that the quality of the flame spear was too poor, and it was easy to overturn when facing a real powerhouse. That's why he switched to fighting the God Killer with the Spear of Eternity he got from Ultron. But these duplications, they don't have to worry about the problem of overturning, because even if the car overturns, it is just destroying a duplication and breaking a dark alloy armor. How can that be? Egg was surprised to see these duplications appearing around him, all of which he was dumbfounded. Doctor Strange from the parallel universe, who was still hiding behind Egg to watch the play, his face darkened, he opened the portal and left directly. Judging from his appearance, it was obvious that he had already decided that it was impossible for Egg to defeat Wu Chen, and he would only waste time if he stayed. I am not only capable of duplication, but every duplication of mine has enough combat power to crush all of you here. Wu Chen said. His duplication, that is the gene for fighting the Buddha, plus the control system of the Heavenly King Hexi. Just fighting over the duplication of the Buddha, the combat power is already very good. And Tianji Wang Hexi's duplication relies on the back-end support of the king-level celestial computer, and the combat effectiveness of a single duplication is greatly enhanced. Now, Wu Chen combines the advantages of the two, and the computing ability of the big clock is far above the space-based computing group. Impossible, how could your duplication be stronger than mine? I am a god. Egg said. His duplications, at the moment, also summoned weapons one after another, and rushed towards Wu Chen's duplication. Wu Chen stood there calmly, and with a flick of his left index finger, the dozens of duplications flew out immediately. Duplications shot immediately took control of the entire battlefield. These duplications, wearing dark alloy armor and holding flaming spears, are far superior to those of Yigo in terms of defense and attack power. Moreover, Wu Chen's duplication is extremely fast and his response is extremely sensitive. When each duplication is in battle, it is as if Wu Chen's body is being manipulated in it. The most important thing is that there are dozens of duplications, each of which has a different fighting style. It seems that these duplications really have independent thinking. In just 2 or 3 minutes, Egg's hundreds of duplications were all gone. After the duplication is reduced, Egg's single strength is much stronger than when there are a large number of people. But Wu Chen didn't mean to do it himself. He was still standing there, and then, there was still a single duplication, dealing with a duplication. Previously, he had many duplications, and his attention and energy were scattered. Wu Chen's duplication could not be defeated one-on-one. But now, his duplication is running out, his attention is getting more and more concentrated, and his energy is getting stronger and stronger. At this time, he still can't win Wu Chen's duplication, which is a bit unreasonable. Don't doubt yourself there, if necessary, one of my duplications is enough to lay down 8 of you. Wu Chen seemed to say it casually, but the words penetrated deeply into Egg's heart like a knife. Wu Chen couldn't help thinking of a scene in the animation of Shangbinglian. It was the King of Heaven, Hexi, who was testing the new King of Angels, Wang Yan. When Wang Hao King Tianji used 8 duplications to besiege Angel Yan, although Angel Yan slammed left and right in it, he could not gain the upper hand at all. At that time, Hexi said this sentence. I didn't think it was anything when I watched it at the time, but now that I think about it, when Angel Yan heard Hexy's words, he must have been very depressed. Don't be arrogant here, how could one of your duplication be my opponent? Egg growled, and at the moment, there is no other duplication of Yigo around. In the beginning, Wu Chen faced hundreds of eggs by himself. Now, it's one Yigo facing dozens of Wu Chen. Okay, then I'll let you experience it firsthand. Wu Chen said. All the duplications that were scattered all around disappeared, and only the last one remained. The duplication was holding a long spear, and with a contemptuous smile on his face, he looked at Egg with disdain. You are deceiving people too much. Egg felt insulted. As a god, it can be regarded as the most powerful existence in the entire universe. In the past tens of thousands of years, where has he not been unobstructed, and who is not superior to others? When I met Wu Chen today, it was fine if he couldn't beat him. How could he be scorned by the opponent in this way? Am I deceiving people too much? I'm just proving to you that what I said earlier is true. Wu Chen said, that duplication has already launched an attack. The flame burning on the flame spear, the duplication at the moment is directly blessed by the big clock, and the attack power is stronger than when many duplications acted together before, I don't know how much. Although Egg only has this duplication left now, focus his attention. But the power that Egg possesses has not changed much, and behind him, there is still only the energy of Egg's body planet as the support. Duplication and Egg fought together, and the collision between the two even lasted for 2 minutes, and then Egg had already been knocked to the ground. Wu Chen personally stepped forward and looked at Egg, who had lost his arms and legs at the moment. I know that this duplication is created by your body, and its life and death will not have any real practical impact on you. Wu Chen said, and Egg looked at Wu Chen at the moment, and his eyes no longer despised. But I can tell you, it's best not to have any crooked thoughts, or I will definitely find your body and blow it up in one breath. After Wu Chen finished speaking, with a sharp wave of his right hand, Egg's head was directly separated from his body. At the moment, a certain planet in the far depths of the universe is uttering a roar. The dignified heavenly god race was actually defeated by a mortal, and was warned by the other party, his self-esteem has been severely damaged. However, he also understands that his current strength is not enough, and he is not enough to compete with Wu Chen. So, he recreated a duplication and drove the spaceship to the Xandar star at the fastest speed. His goal is obvious, that is, to go to Star-Lord. Returning to the planet where Wu Chen is located, the duplication that was originally scattered around, at the moment has all dissipated. According to your memory data, if Egg gets the help of Star-Lord, he can directly expand his territory and gain stronger power through the seeds he planted on various planets in the universe. At this moment, his duplications have been eliminated, but Egg itself, I'm afraid I won't let it go. The genetic system reminds. Wu Chen naturally understood in his heart that Egg was not the kind of person who would obediently hide at home when he warned him. Ego will definitely take advantage of the stall I have to deal with Thanos and Doctor Strange in the parallel world to take Star-Lord and use it to enhance his strength. You should also throw Star-Lord into research now. Wherever you go, it's safe there. Wu Chen said. The genetic system received the instruction and immediately controlled the big clock to perform this operation. Find the hiding Star-Lord on Xandar Star, and then a wormhole transport will throw him directly into the Research Institute. Inside the Research Institute, Scarlet Witch looked at the sudden appearance of another person, and his head was swollen. Dr. Pym, who was put in earlier, is a restless master. After being thrown here by Wu Chen, he has been trying to escape. To this end, an ant invasion was also attracted. In the end, Vision rushed back and pulled out Ant-Man from the ant pile, and then the invasion was completed. But this Dr. Pym was obviously unwilling, thinking about running away whenever he had the chance and making all kinds of trouble. Well now, Dr. Pym and Ant-Man Scott Lang are not optimistic yet, and another person is here. Unlike Dr. Pym, he was obviously bewildered when he arrived, completely ignorant of the situation. But this man is a talker, and he has a little bit of petty theft. Looking at the various advanced equipment in the Research Institute, he gave birth to all kinds of crooked thoughts. Fortunately, there are super god robots. These super god robots are all supported by space-based computing systems, and they know the situation of every item in every corner of the Research Institute, which makes it impossible for Lord Seth to start. What happened on Wu Chen's side? While Scarlet Witch was worried about these three people, he was more worried about Wu Chen, who was walking around the universe alone. You don't have to worry, it's not like you don't know Wu Chen's strength, even if he has a strong opponent, he won't be able to threaten him. Quicksilver stepped forward to comfort him. I got to know the guy named Star-Lord. He was born from the combination of Earth people and an unknown alien species. It seems that there is some unknown power in his body. Vision also came over, he just went to investigate Star-Lord. Unknown power. Scarlet Witch is very concerned about this unknown word. Because the witch also has this unknown power within her body, although after this period of understanding, it has been determined that this is the power of magic, but obviously, her magic is not the same as the magic of Ancient One and Doctor Strange. I tried to ask the big clock, but the big clock at the moment seemed to be fully assisting Wu Chen and didn't answer. Vision said, Wu Chen is currently chasing the whereabouts of Doctor Strange and Thanos, who crossed from the parallel universe in the entire universe. The retrieval volume of the big clock is huge, and it is normal that it cannot take care of our side. Scarlet Witch said, the big clock is almost omnipotent, but the universe is so big, it is naturally not easy to find one or two people in this huge universe. Isn't it? I see these superhuman robots and the protection system of the entire base, but they have always been running very well. When Quicksilver said this, he had already circled the entire island at an extremely fast speed. They all know that the super god robot and the defense system of the entire island, as well as the factories that operate under the sea, are all managed by the big clock. These are all artificial intelligences. Although they are all managed by the same computer, each system has an independent computing program and does not interfere with each other. Dr. Pym came out of the room. I said that although there is the most advanced technology here, it seems that no one is a scientist who understands these technologies except for the young man named Wu Chen. Dr. Pym said, he is also a scientist, and a genius scientist. Although the advanced level of these technologies here is beyond his reach, he can still do it at a superficial level. This is super god technology, not everyone can understand it. Wu Chen's voice suddenly appeared in the hall of the research room, and everyone in the room turned their heads to look at the virtual projection in the middle of the hall. Wu Chen didn't really come back, but at the moment, he knew about the chaos in the institute. Drive Pym, I know your purpose is to find your wife who was lost in the quantum field. After this matter is over, I will let you study your quantum tunnel, so there is no need to be here. It's time to mess around with me. Wu Chen looked at Dr. Pym. So, you also know about the quantum field? Dr. Pym asked. You've seen my situation here, too, what do you think is the technology that you know and I don't? Wu Chen said. After Dr. Pym heard what he said, he couldn't help but look around. Looking at the various devices that are extremely simple, but powerful in function, and the virtual projection that seems to be all-encompassing. Indeed, as Wu Chen said, the technology here has reached an incredible level, so Wu Chen naturally knows something about the quantum field. Even if he did not study this aspect carefully, I am afraid that the global monitoring of the big clock would have already known about the Pym particle and quantum tunnel that he was studying. I know, I'll stay here quietly. As Dr. Pym said, the ants that had originally surrounded the island's periphery were now gradually dispersing. His purpose is to save his wife. As long as this can be achieved, he will naturally not care about anything else. Very well, what about Star-Lord? Wu Chen looked to the other side, the Star-Lord who happened to be here. I don't know you, and you, why are you pulling me here for no reason? Star-Lord at the moment is very depressed. There's a guy named Egg, he said it's your father, and he wants to use you as a power bank to help him dominate the universe. Now I have to deal with Thanos first, and I don't have time to care about him, so I put you here first. That's it. Wu Chen said. Ego, my dad. Star-Lord was stunned. Wait, you said to use me as a power bank. I'm his son, why would he use me as a power bank? Star-Lord asked. Ego, he is not a person, but a planet, and for thousands of years, he has always wanted to be the overlord of the entire universe. During Wu Chen's speech, the virtual projection showed some pictures of Guardians of Galaxy 2 in Wu Chen's memory in this research hall after some corrections. Over the years, he has traveled throughout the universe, planting seeds on every living planet, intermarrying with women of countless races and giving birth to children. Because, relying on his own divine power alone, if he wants to give birth to all those seeds, all his life force will be exhausted, so he hopes that one of these heirs can inherit his divine power, and then he can use the life of that child as the foundation activates the seed, and then he can sit back and enjoy it. After Wu Chen's words were finished, the images were demonstrated, and the hall was silent. Everyone looked at Star-Lord in unison, and while sympathizing with him, they were more shocked by his father's behavior. How do I know what you're saying is true? After a long time, Star-Lord himself recovered from the shock and questioned what Wu Chen said. Just now, I had a fight with Egg, and for this, I specifically investigated all the information about him in the past, which includes all the information about his relationship with your mother on Earth, including his time in your mother, the whole process of going straight to the tumor in the brain. Wu Chen said, all the images of Egg and Star-Lord's mother together, at the moment have been displayed in the virtual projection. No, it's not true, my mother likes him so much, how could he do such a thing? Star-Lord breaks down, and he has always consoled himself by saying that his father was a cosmic hero. But now, the father turned out to be the murderer of his mother. Moreover, he has to catch himself to use it as a charging treasure for him. The data investigated by the big clock will never go wrong. In addition, Yongdu knows the inside story. After I kill Egg, you can go to him and ask him clearly. Wu Chen said, all the unfolded pictures, at the moment, were all closed. I know, you must want to know the details now, but you can't go out of my research institute, so just wait here quietly. Wu Chen himself is not here, and the Eye of Insight cannot be used. But the idea of Star-Lord at the moment, anyone can see. If I don't go out, can I ask you to help me find Yongdu? Star-Lord also understands that it will not work to confront Wu Chen head-on. In this case, it is better to follow Wu Chen's wishes and make a small request by the way. I'll give him your information here. The moment Wu Chen's voice fell, the big clock had already sent a message to the predator, Yongdu, who was sailing in the universe. Wanda, I may not be able to pay attention to the situation here for several days, and the three of you on the Earth side should be careful. Wu Chen looked at Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver and Vision. He has once again locked the position of Doctor Strange in the parallel world. This time, Doctor Strange didn't change his position again, so he was probably preparing for a head-to-head battle with Wu Chen. Doctor Strange and Thanos in the parallel universe are allies, and Wu Chen's past result is likely to be caught in a huge amount of ambush. Although Wu Chen has absolute confidence, he can deal with all the traps set by Thanos. But there is an unimaginably large army there. Even with Wu Chen's strength, it may not be so easy to solve the battle in a short time. Will there be any danger? Shall we help too? Scarlet Witch asked. You don't have to. When I need it, I will call the super god robot to go. Wu Chen said. The big clock has detected that the situation in the Earth does not seem to be very stable now. Those Avengers are caught in an infighting, and the entire global situation is also changing. Wu Chen's virtual projection is looking up at the window, where is the whole Earth? During the time when Wu Chen was involved in the Infinity War, the interior of the Earth was already full of storms. Contradictions emerged between the Avengers, and a superhero registration bill spearheaded by Congressman Ross became the source of all conflicts. Stark and Rogers clash head-to-head over Bucky. Because of his relationship with Hulk, Banner is regarded as the #1 dangerous element by various countries, and there are even troops and agents monitoring his whereabouts. There are even many people who have been staring at Wu Chen's research institute. During the time I'm not here, you can do it for yourself. After Wu Chen said this last sentence, his projection disappeared. Compared with the Civil War, he still cares more about the death of the upcoming Infinity War with Thanos. Titan, the planet where Thanos was born. At the moment, a huge number of legions gathered on this planet that was already in ruins. Although we have a large number of people here, can we really defeat him head-on? Thanos asked. Since he lost to Wu Chen last time, he has been very clear about Wu Chen's strength. As far as I know, that guy named Wu Chen destroyed the thousands of Ultron robots you made with his own power. Although there are a lot of Ultron robots, they were not built for combat from the very beginning, so they are basically a group of ordinary people wearing iron. The Doctor Strange of the parallel universe, at the moment, is by Thanos' side. Those people of the Illuminati, after the Ultron robot entered this universe, did not allow him to open the killing ring. Otherwise, if the battle is defeated, even if they can't win, the entire Earth will be destroyed, for flat ground. Doctor Strange said, the Illuminati that you mentioned earlier, their purpose is to prevent Wu Chen from destroying the entire multi-universe timeline, and they naturally won't kill everywhere. Thanos said, it has already reached this point. How can it be possible to complete the task without casualties? Their so-called superhero is too pedantic. The Doctor Strange apparently had long since removed himself from the superhero team. After he came into contact with the Dark Book, after he was eroded by the energy of the Dark Book, his whole person has become extreme. Thanos saw all of this in his eyes. He actually already knew all of this, and it was because of this that he chose to cooperate with Doctor Strange, who came from a parallel universe. Actually, I don't understand. You Eternals should be on the opposite side of Thanos, right? Why would you come to ally with Thanos? Doctor Strange turned to look at the Eternals beside him. We are just fed up with the fate of being called and dominated by the gods. As long as we can take this opportunity to prevent the birth of those gods, it is best to eliminate them all, and we are willing to cooperate with you," said one of the Eternals. The universe is vast, and there are actually not a lot of Eternals scattered in it, and they are just a very few of them, a team awakened from the nightmare of being dominated. Thanos said, you were actually one of us. The Eternals were looking at Thanos at the moment. Thanos is indeed an Eternal, but he is not simply an Eternal, because in addition to the Eternal's genes, there are other special genes in his body. So, if you want to compare the strength alone, a Thanos is enough to hang a whole team of Eternals. Furthermore, Thanos are not the Eternals who are dominated by the Celestials. He has constantly exercised himself for thousands of years, and in order to realize his dreams, he has continuously expanded his army in the universe, and has mastered knowledge and power that other members of the Eternals do not possess. I am different from you, the Eternals. Thanos said. I never thought you would be like us, we just need you to remember and make a good agreement with us, said the captain of the Eternals. Recover all the memories of the Eternals that have been sealed, so that the Celestials will no longer be able to intervene in the Eternals. After I get all the infinite gems, I will help you to realize this, Thanos said. When he negotiated cooperation with the Eternals, it was indeed agreed long ago. And your promise to me. A little further on, Ronan spoke. Don't you just want to deal with the Nova Empire? With our army here, it's just a piece of cake to raise the entire Xandar star to the ground. Thanos said. If he hadn't adhered to the principle that more helpers are more helpful, he probably wouldn't have bothered to care about this little Ronan. It would be great if the battlefield of this battle was set on Xandar. Ronan sighed, looking at the countless soldiers around, looking at the large motherships and countless battleships in the sky. If you transfer all this to Xandar Star, you don't need to do much, just the first round of firing is enough to blow up all the buildings on the surface of Xandar Star. Xandar, that's a good idea. After hearing Ronan's murmurs, Doctor Strange in the parallel universe immediately agreed with this concept. His hands quickly drew out the portal, and the huge army was transferred directly from Titan Star to Xandar Star. Outside the Titan planet, Wu Chen, who was raising the Heavenly Blade to gather energy and was about to launch the Heavenly Blade Judgment with the strongest blow, was suddenly stunned. What's the matter? Why did those legions suddenly shift their positions? Wu Chen's eyes of insight opened, and he saw everything that was happening on Titan. The Thanos Alliance, which was originally densely distributed on the entire surface of Titan, is now rapidly shifting. It was the Doctor Strange from that parallel universe, who suddenly had an idea and moved everyone to Xandar. The genetic system reports. All of a sudden, Wu Chen was a little confused. Just now, the man named Ronan said, it would be great if the battlefield was on Xandar, and then Doctor Strange moved them all to Xandar. Copy. A mouthful of national quintessence blurted out. Wu Chen locked the position of Doctor Strange in the parallel universe through the big clock early in the morning. After arriving outside this planet, he found that all the legions under Thanos were on the Titan. If he went to the ground to fight these people head-on, even if Wu Chen was tyrannical, it would definitely be very difficult to fight against so many soldiers. Therefore, Wu Chen thought of this method, and planned to use the powerful power of the Heavenly Blade Judgment to directly gather enough power at 5.5 to blow up the entire planet in one go. But who would have thought that such a situation would occur only halfway through the energy storage process? Big clock, destroy that portal for me. Wu Chen said. The heavenly blade in his hand has been swung down. Although the energy storage has not been completed, although many people have been sent to the Xandar star. However, there are still many things that have not been transferred on this Titan. The heavenly blade judgment, which is not full of energy, is not enough to destroy the entire planet. But if this move goes on, its lethality is large enough to cause huge amounts of destructive power. Now, what Wu Chen wants is to kill Thanos and his army as much as possible. Even if only 1/3 was killed, it would save Wu Chen a lot of energy. In the sky of Titan Star, a golden streamer is flying towards the ground at an extremely fast speed. Doctor Strange, who was still using the portal's parallel universe, suddenly frowned. Thanos, Ronan, the Eternals, all those who were still on Titan suddenly felt that the situation was not good. Boom! Huge amounts of explosions sounded. The entire Titan is shaking. The volcanic eruption, the shaking of the mountains and rivers, the tremors of the earthquake, and the remaining buildings completely turned to dust this time. The already dilapidated Titan star has completely turned into a dead planet this time. On the surface of the planet, the legion that was originally overwhelming, except for those who escaped, the rest have turned into dust. This is the Heavenly Blade Judgment, and it is one of the strongest attacking moves used by angels in the Merlot Heavenly Court of the Super God Universe on a daily basis. This is not the maximum power Wu Chen can use, but it is enough to destroy everything. Destroyed targets: Vanguard 3241, Chitauri 1254, Leviathan 13, Cosmic Monster 8. In front of Wu Chen, the damage caused by this blow was displayed. The entire Titan has been destroyed, and it is not only unfit for human existence, but even for a short stay like in the movie. Said the genetic system. Understood. Wu Chen replied that when he originally planned to use the Heavenly Blade to judge, he was already mentally prepared to destroy a planet. Thanos, Doctor Strange, Eternals, none of these people were killed, it's a pity. Wu Chen doesn't feel emotional about destroying a planet, but with such a powerful move, he only cleaned up a bunch of minions, which made him feel a pity. At the moment when the Sky Blade Judgment attacked, I gave priority to cutting off the huge portal they opened, but Thanos opened a small portal at a critical moment and took their core characters to Xandar Star together. Said the genetic system. Did you escape at the critical moment? Wu Chen said. Since he crossed over, Doctor Strange, who has mastered the Dark Book of God, has crossed over from a parallel universe and is the most troublesome opponent he has ever encountered. At first, Wu Chen couldn't find his whereabouts because of the use of dark magic. Later, he teamed up with Thanos and even took the space gem under Wu Chen's nose. After the big clock located the Doctor Strange, Wu Chen personally took action to pursue it. He first used Egg to get rid of his entanglement, and now he reunites with Thanos. When Wu Chen used the Sky Blade Judgment to attack, he just avoided it. Although this last time was a coincidence. But Wu Chen never ignores this coincidence. Coincidentally, originally, it was also a type of Doctor Strange's strength. As in Avengers 4, Thanos has already won. But just because a mouse coincidentally appeared in Ant-Man's little broken car and opened the quantum tunnel, all this was reversed. Therefore, coincidence should also be considered as part of strength. Opening the wormhole, Wu Chen came to the sky above Xandar. At the moment, the Xandar star was already in chaos, and the sudden appearance of a large number of legions completely destroyed the peaceful atmosphere of the entire Xandar star. The Nova Corps had already attacked in all directions, but their numbers were far too different from those of Thanos' Corps. This is Xandar. As long as we use the power of the Power Stone, we can destroy everything in an instant. Ronan looked at the surrounding environment and immediately shouted excitedly. No, absolutely can't kill everyone here. Doctor Strange shouted. Humph, do you still care about the lives and deaths of people on this planet? Ronan snorted coldly and said. He's not thinking about the lives of people on this planet, he's thinking about us. Thanos said. That's right, there are people from Xandar Star here, that guy named Wu Chen won't use the attacking moves like just now. The Eternal Squadron followed up on Thanos' words. Although I can't see the current state of Titan, I can be sure that it is absolutely in ruins at this moment. Doctor Strange said. If you didn't escape with the power of the space gem at the last moment, you should have disappeared into this universe together with that planet. Wu Chen's voice came. He had crossed the wormhole and came to Thanos and others. I knew that your strength was strong, but I didn't expect you to be so ruthless that you could attack the entire Titan star. Doctor Strange looked at Wu Chen, and he was obviously a little unbelievable about Wu Chen's shot on Titan. Destroying a planet is nothing compared to destroying your group of people who would threaten the entire universe. Wu Chen said, but you still have concerns after all, otherwise, you should use that trick here too. Doctor Strange said, you were wrong, I have no concerns, but you have already seen that trick, and if I use it again, you can still escape with the ability of the portal and the space gem, and I will be wasting my efforts. Wu Chen said, what? Doctor Strange sneered, no matter what you say, in short, on this planet, you won't use that trick, and we will have a chance to fight you head on. As Doctor Strange said, he made a seal with his hands in front of him, and immediately summoned a huge amount of octopus monster. It waved a few tentacles and charged towards Wu Chen. A magical creature summoned from the otherworld. Wu Chen said disdainfully, flicking his right hand in midair, and a strong light flew out of his hand. A long spear stabbed directly on the head of the octopus monster, and the strong energy caused it to disappear in an instant. Give it to me, don't give him a chance to breathe. Thanos waved his hand, and all the warriors scattered around rushed up in an instant. Vanguard, Chitauri, Ronin Legion, tens of thousands of magical creatures, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers who are not afraid of death, they are all roaring and sprinting frantically. Wu Chen stood on the spot. A kind of energy fluctuation was being generated on his body. Open, the treasure house of sacred knowledge. A simple sentence, a powerful field, has been opened. In the database contained in the big clock, in addition to the big clock itself, there are other astronomical computer databases. The space-based computing group is responsible for controlling the superhuman robots in the Research Institute. Chenkin strictly protects the core technology of Chaoshan Technology on the third floor of the Research Institute. At this moment, Wu Chen opened the information data of the fourth astronomical computer. This celestial computer is called the Treasure House of Divine Knowledge. It was once the crowning achievement of Merlot heavenly technology. It also supports the Holy Kesha, and becomes the backstage support of the King of the Gods in the Super God universe. In the Treasure House of Sacred Knowledge, everything about the sacred Kesha is recorded. Around Wu Chen, countless pioneer guards were approaching. These huge numbers of brave and unusual creatures were produced by Thanos through genome synthesis and mass production. Their combat ability is not very expressive in the combat system of modern military. Relying on the advantage in quantity, it can launch an impact at an extremely fast speed, but it can bring great pressure to the opponent. Once close, the Vanguard's advantages can be brought into full play. Therefore, the Vanguard guards are often put directly into the center of the battlefield by Thanos and they appear in a surprise attack. Furthermore, Thanos' men are not only the Vanguard, which is almost the same as the Beast. In the sky, Chitauri piloted a small combat airship, establishing air superiority. There are also Leviathan giants. Their huge size not only makes them extremely lethal, but he is also a transport ship for other soldiers, which can drop Chitauri to key positions. As for the other cosmic monsters on land, their role is to target some large-scale targets on land, such as a bunker that hides powerful firepower. All in all, Thanos' army configuration can be said to be the one that maximizes brutality and quantity. Although the combat method seems backward, the sudden and large-scale investment that is unexpected and regardless of the results is enough to destroy the defenses of most of the planets in the universe. Even an interstellar civilization with a very high level of technology, Xandar, was still razed to the ground in the face of the sudden attack of Thanos. But, today, the Vanguard Guard, Chitauri, and even Ronin's Dark Star Legion, their savage attacking methods and their combat mode that relies on overwhelming numbers are doomed to failure. Just on land, when the huge number of pioneer guards entered the 1-kilometer range around Wu Chen, the situation suddenly changed. Wu Chen just stood there and didn't move. But all the pioneer guards who entered within 1 kilometer of his surroundings would be directly cut into pieces. At the moment when the Vanguard guards were chopped up, people could see that there were silver blades moving around. This is the sacred realm unique to Holy Kesha, the King of the Gods. The so-called sacred field is actually a space-time force field within a fixed range. Within this range, the algorithm of the time-space wormhole can be used to the extreme by users, and the silver wings made of dark silver can form an all-round instant attack without dead ends. Anyone below the third-generation divine body will be attacked by the silver blade as soon as they enter this realm. These silver blades are even summoned directly from their bodies. That is, in the sacred realm, you don't even know how you died. What's this all about? Why did those pioneer guards die for no reason? What exactly exists around Wu Chen? Thanos, Ronan, Corvus Glaive, the commanders who commanded the Legion's operations on weekdays, were all shocked when they saw this scene. This is the Sacred Domain, an area attack move designed by the King of Angels named Keisha. Wu Chen said as he walked slowly towards Thanos and the others. Those Thanos and the others who were not too far away from Wu Chen actually stepped back involuntarily at this moment. 1 kilometer, watching the scene where the pioneer guards were directly obliterated, who would dare to easily enter within 1 kilometer around Wu Chen? Don't be so afraid, the sacred realm has no way to directly solve the bodies of your eternal race. Wu Chen said. He is only the third-generation god body now, and his control over the silver blade and the energy range of his super gene are still far from reaching the level of the holy Keisha. Therefore, he can kill relatively fragile life forms such as vanguard guards within a kilometer range. But there is still no way to directly solve the existence of the eternal race, which has been specially created. Real, a girl in the Eternals team couldn't help but ask. Really, if you don't believe me, you can walk into this range and try it yourself. Wu Chen looked at the little girl, although the Eternals had existed for a long time. But their age is fixed, so what they were when they were made is what they are now. And this one was obviously set to be a teenage girl from the very beginning. I don't try. The little girl shook her head. She looked at the pioneer guards who were still rushing forward to Wu Chen, and then were immediately cut open, and she was terrified. In fact, it wasn't just the little girl who was afraid, everyone present was afraid. Everyone knows Wu Chen's strength is tyrannical, but no one thought that Wu Chen actually has this trick. Even the previous Heavenly Blade trial, although the power is extremely powerful, can destroy the planet. But those are all long-range attacks that need to be charged, and they can still avoid them. But now, this sacred realm is directly invincible. Far away, people will directly blow up the planet. Close to others to open the sacred realm. Such an all-around warrior. What do they use to fight people? Chidori, full fire coverage. Looking at the reactions of the people around him, Thanos realized that they were all overwhelmed by Wu Chen's strength. At this time, if they can't make some practical actions, they don't have to fight this battle, they have already lost. Those Chidori who had been hovering in midair, entangled with the Nova Core of Xandar. After receiving the order from Thanos, they all turned around and flew towards Wu Chen. Because everyone knew that there was a sacred realm beside Wu Chen, these Chidori did not get too close. They stopped when they were about 2 kilometers away from Wu Chen. Part of the Chidori were scattered on various commanding heights, and they set up cannons. Chidori on the single-player flight device raised the laser gun in his hand. After getting ready, all these Chidori, together to attack Wu Chen, Wang Hao. Countless lasers whistled towards Wu Chen roar from a distance. This scale of firepower is enough to destroy everything within this covered area. However, Wu Chen, who was in the center of the fire at the moment, was still calm. In the state where the treasure house of sacred knowledge is opened. That is Wu Chen's state, man who has completely entered the battle mode. Sacred domain is very powerful, but it is only a normal defense skill used by Sacred Keisha. In addition to the sacred realm, Wu Chen definitely has other skills. After all, what Wu Chen has mastered is not just the ability of a holy Keisha. The big clock collects the databases of all celestial computers in the entire super divine universe as a plug-in for Wu Chen. Wu Chen himself is adapted to the divine genes of all the top super warriors. He can use all abilities of all super fighters in the superhero universe, including triangles. Wu Chen still looks calm and relaxed. Let that rain-like laser shoot towards itself. At this moment, Wu Chen makes people look as leisurely as a bard walking under the stars. What is he doing? Doctor Strange in the parallel world looked at Wu Chen with doubts in his heart. It doesn't look like he's about to die. The Eternals squad leader said. Waiting to die. How could someone like him stand there waiting to die? Ronan said. He's not waiting to die, it's that he has a way of dealing with this kind of attack. Thanos' vision is still much better than others. Quick, let everyone move their positions immediately. Thanos suddenly remembered something, and loudly ordered to the people around him. On the surrounding battlefield, Chitauri, who had been attacking continuously, received orders. But by the time they wanted to act, it was too late. The lasers shot by them all appeared behind them at this moment. It's a wormhole. An unstable wormhole space is formed around Wu Chen. After all attacks enter that range, they will be transferred to other places by him. Thanos has the space gem in his hand, and he can do a move like this, but he didn't expect that Wu Chen could do it so easily without relying on the power of the space gem. And looking at Wu Chen's appearance at the time, with such a relaxed look, it seems that he can control this kind of move at will. You know, Thanos, even if he relies on the space gem, he can't do it to this extent. We can't hesitate any longer. His ability is too powerful and too weird. If we continue like this, we will only make our people sacrifice in vain. Doctor Strange looked around at the Chitauri, battered by the diverted fire. This decisive battle, from the beginning to the present, only a short 2 minutes have passed. Wu Chen didn't even really get his hands on it. But their people have already killed and injured a large number of people. If you add those that were previously destroyed by Wu Chen's trial with the Sky Blade when he was on Titan. The battle has not yet officially started, and they have already killed and wounded more than 1/3 of their troops. Steven is right, if we don't do it, and Seth continues in this form, we're all going to have to die. Thanos said. He already knew very well that Wu Chen was powerful. As an existence who has fought in the universe for thousands of years, Thanos also knows very well what the state of war is like. Everyone has regarded death as home from the very beginning, so no matter how great the sacrifice, they will continue to charge. But if it is like this, batch after batch will be on the ground, and then without exception, all of them are easily counter-killed by Wu Chen. The Vanguard Legion was created by Thanos through a combination of genes, but the Chitauri Legion was conquered by him in the universe, and Ronan's Dark Star Legion joined in partnership. If this situation continues, the Dark Star Legion is likely to retreat, and the Chitauri Legion may also fluctuate. Thanos is right, we can't go on like this, we have to go all out and disrupt Wu Chen's rhythm of war. As Doctor Strange said, he stepped forward first. I saw his hands quickly change into various postures, and then summoned a powerful magical creature, rushing into Wu Chen's sacred realm. The moment the magical creature entered the sacred realm, the expressions of everyone around were stagnant. The reason why they still haven't made a move is because they are afraid of this sacred realm. All the pioneer guards who entered it were instantly killed by Wu Chen. The next moment, everyone saw it. The moment the magical creature entered the realm, the silver blade appeared immediately. But these silver blades are not in the body of the magical creature, but appear on the periphery. The attack this time was just like Wu Chen's attack under normal circumstances. Sure enough, Wu Chen can't directly solve those complicated units. Doctor Strange said, let all the Leviathan beasts attack, Vanguard and Chitauri all into battle. Thanos gave orders to the entire army. I don't believe that in the face of an attack of this scale, he can maintain his so-called sacred realm and space-time force field so easily. This time, Thanos really made up his mind, he was ready to die with Wu Chen. Since then, the strongest charge that has never been seen before has begun. The Leviathan behemoths attacked collectively, and all the soldiers of the two major legions went into battle. When Ronan saw that the previous two attacks had failed, he also had some thoughts of retreating. But seeing that Thanos' army has all attacked, he can't stay on the periphery and do nothing, so he can only order, let the Dark Star Legion also join the battle. For a time, the three major legions, all the soldiers, all launched an attack on Wu Chen. The existence of the sacred domain and the space-time force field originally built a very strong defense around Wu Chen. But with the entry of those Leviathan behemoths, things began to change. After all, Wu Chen is only the third-generation divine body, and cannot achieve the perfect control effect of the divine Keisha on the divine realm. The huge size of the Leviathan monster and its heavy armor made Wu Chen unable to solve it in a short time, and the silver blade couldn't kill it instantly. In a state where calculations can't keep up, clinging to the manipulation of the sacred realm will be detrimental to combat. In addition, the powerful and intensive firepower continued to bombard, and Wu Chen's space-time force field required a lot of energy to calculate. The computing ability of the big clock can take care of all of these at the same time. But Wu Chen is only the third generation of divine body, so high-intensity consumption at the same time will be too much for him. The upgrade plan of the sacred body is in the database of the Sacred Knowledge Treasury. Can I upgrade it now? Wu Chen asked. You have only upgraded the third generation divine body, and the super genes in your body have not completely controlled all kinds of genomes, and the energy tolerance is not enough. In this case, forcibly upgrading the divine body is likely to have side effects. The genetic system reminds. Speaking of which, it has only been more than 10 hours since Wu Chen upgraded the third generation divine body. During the 10-odd hours, although Wu Chen had done a lot of things, it was still very short for divine body originally. Haste is not enough. Sometimes, the more you want to achieve something faster, the more obstacles will appear. Wu Chen understood this truth. Now that the genetic system has reminded him like this, he understands that he cannot upgrade the fourth generation divine body or divine body today. Since the time-space force field and the sacred realm are in a bottleneck, then I will fight with them in earnest. Wu Chen said, the sacred domain and space-time force field on his body all dissipated at this moment. Wu Chen himself also shifted his position immediately and jumped out of the center of the encirclement. Dark alloy armor covers the entire body. The spear of eternity in his hand flashed with thunder and fire. Behind him, a pair of huge amounts of wings made of silver blades were spreading out. Although I don't want to admit it, my current ability is really unable to control two fields at the same time in this situation. Wu Chen said, and the people below Thanos, Doctor Strange, and others also understood all of this. Without these two invincible skills, how will you deal with us next? You must know that our number is 100,000 times yours. Thanos said, yeah, your number is more than 100,000 times mine. Wu Chen sighed with emotion. He looked around, and the people who could not see the end were almost all of Thanos' subordinates. Although, among these legions, there are also the Nova Corps of Xandar Star Shuttle among them. But the Nova Corps spaceships are still protecting the Xandar people on the ground, covering their retreat as much as possible. So, there aren't many ships that actually engage Thanos' men above. Moreover, these ships are still in a state of being suppressed by Thanos' men. Now that you know the gap, let's just stop there. Thanos said. Give up. Wu Chen looked at Thanos. Although you have 3 infinite gems in your hand, you have never used their power from the beginning to the end, which is enough to prove that you don't need the power of infinite gems to be invincible in the whole universe. Taking such a risk to keep those 3 infinite gems. Thanos said, just because I don't use infinite gems doesn't mean I don't need them. Wu Chen said, then you just lend them to me, all I want is to reduce half of the life in the universe, so that the remaining half can continue to prosper and prosper. Thanos said, give you infinite gems to destroy half of life, and that half may have my share. Wu Chen said, I can assure you that I will never hurt you, not even those friends around you. Thanos said, guarantee. Does this guarantee make sense? Wu Chen laughed. He didn't understand why these villain bosses would have such thoughts. Give you infinite gems, and you will have the power to control the entire universe. At that time, if you want to destroy me, it will only be a snap of your fingers. At that time, you will not be able to resist me. Wu Chen asked back. When Thanos heard this, he fell into silence. As Wu Chen said, if he really has the ability to erase Wu Chen, how could he be open to Wu Chen? Last time in Nidavi, Wu Chen almost killed him. After that, Wu Chen chased him all over the universe, forcing him and his allies to hide in the east. Now, although Wu Chen is alone, so many people here in the 3 major legions feel a huge amount of threat. Earlier Wu Chen said that those 2 skills are not the limit. But the current Wu Chen has not been able to fully grasp it, that is to say, as long as Wu Chen is given a period of time to grow, the next time I see you, Wu Chen's strength will definitely be stronger than now. Who can tolerate the existence of a threat that is different from one's own philosophy and stronger than one's own strength? In that case, there is no possibility of mediation between you and me at all. Thanos has given up on the idea of persuading Wu Chen. Yes, you give me infinite gems, and then disperse your subordinates. I can allow you to spend your old age in the small garden. Wu Chen said. Kr. Thanos was angry and shocked at the same time. Annoyed is what Wu Chen said. Surprisingly, Wu Chen knew about the small garden. It was a planet he liked very much, and he planned to spend his old age peacefully after taking half of the human beings in the universe with infinite gems. Looking at this, if you don't intend to agree, then we can only have a real fight. Wu Chen said, but in fact, he already knew that this was inevitable. Thanos won't give up on his dream. Wu Chen will never put his fate in the hands of others. You alone, for all of us, no matter how strong you are, there will eventually be times when you can't bear it. As Thanos said, the soldiers who were already ready immediately rushed towards Wu Chen. Wu Chen pointed his spear forward, and dozens of duplications immediately appeared behind him. In the face of the battle of the large army, this move is naturally the most suitable. After that, Wu Chen opened the teleportation door and let the superhuman robots in the Earth Research Institute be teleported too. After the Illuminati invaded, Wu Chen had already started to build the Ultron robot. Although it has not been a long time, it was enough for Wu Chen to build a lot of them. At the moment, more than 200 people were sent by Wu Chen. Although these super god robots were made on the basis of Ultron robots, each super god robot originally joined the super god technology. Point 0. And how much improvement has been made in non-operation, even simple robots are not the same from the beginning. The metals that make their bodies are changed from pure earth metals to new materials for the synthesis of rare metals in the universe, such as vibranium, a small amount of dark alloys, and dark silver. As far as the body's defense is concerned, the level of these superhuman robots is one level higher than that of the Ultron robots. There are so many robots out there. The team leader of the Eternals looked at the duplication and super god robots summoned by Wu Chen, and had a bad premonition in his heart. And these robots don't seem to be weak. Doctor Strange said. Hurry up and attack, we can't afford this war of attrition. As Thanos said, he stopped hesitation and rushed out first. Behind Thanos, the 4 generals of Heiyao also rushed up. After all, the boss has gone out, and there is no reason for their subordinates to stay behind. As a result, everyone in the entire Thanos Legion has joined the battle. Thousands of Vanguard guards, Kitarui and the Dark Star Legion are all swarming towards Wu Chen. Wu Chen stood there. Those duplications and robots had already joined the battle. Robots face the Vanguard on the ground. Duplication battles Chidori in midair. Wu Chen's goal is the death of the oncoming Thanos and Heiyao. Chapter 51. The 4 generals of Heiyao, the 4 most powerful subordinates under Thanos. The magician Ebony Maw, heavy tank Black Dwarf, Commander Corvus Glaive, and that Proxima Midnight Proxima. The fighting power of these 4 people alone is not weaker than those of the superhero on the Earth. Ebony Maw's magic control is the Doctor Strange who can beat the universe at this stage. But there is no doubt that the strength of these 4 people is definitely not comparable to those of the Illuminati. A strong beam of light shot out from the Eternal Lance, hitting Thanos directly. Thanos' Tyrant Butcher knife was destroyed by Wu Chen as early as Nidavi, so now he is purely relying on the Infinity Gauntlet to fight. On the glove, blue light flickered, and a defensive barrier immediately formed in front of him, just blocking Wu Chen's attack. But Wu Chen's real target is the 4 black generals on the left and right sides of Thanos. The 4 silver blades appeared in front of the 4 generals of Heiyao without warning, like a silver meteor, rushing towards the 4. Black Dwarf raised his hands to block. Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight were also the first to dodge. Ebony Maw was the one farthest from Wu Chen, but as a magician, his reaction speed was half a beat slower than the other 3. The sharpness of the silver blade can easily cut through the body of the 3rd generation of super warriors. Although Ebony Maw has powerful magical power, his body's defense is the worst among the 4 black generals. At this moment, the silver blade sank directly into the place where his heart was, and blood spurted out, taking his life in just an instant. It's already at this time, can you still take care of the entire battlefield and control every situation? Thanos just glanced at Ebony Maw before continuing to focus his attention on Wu Chen. My divine body can't support me in using the sacred domain and space-time force field in this situation, but these duplications and robots do not need to distract me. Wu Chen said. Those duplication and super god robots can directly use large clocks to provide algorithm support behind them. Although Wu Chen also needs to undertake part of the calculation, this calculation is not very complicated or very large for him. Therefore, in the battle, Wu Chen's original combat power will not be weakened. With hundreds of helpers, you are still as strong as ever. You are really a monster. As Thanos said, he pushed his right hand forward sharply, and the blue barrier was directly pushed out by him. The blue barrier approached Wu Chen, and the energy barrier condensed by the space gem was originally extremely aggressive. The spear turned and then slashed straight down. On the tip of the spear, red energy converges, which is the power of killing gods transformed from dark energy. At the moment, the battle mode used by Wu Chen is mainly based on the genes of the god of war of the North Star, and the battle with Keisha's treasure house of sacred knowledge. Tens of thousands of years of combat experience accumulated in the treasure house of sacred knowledge. Make the most of the powerful god of war genes of the god of war. In addition, the silver wings that Wu Chen used in the first place were exactly Keisha's best attack weapon. The spear fell, and the blue barrier was split in half. Thanos knew for a long time that his move could not help Wu Chen. But what he wanted was to entangle Wu Chen, in order to allow the remaining three generals of Heiyao to form an encircling battle against Wu Chen. At the same time, Doctor Strange, who came from a parallel universe, also began to attack Wu Chen. Unlike Ebony Maw, he knows more about Wu Chen. At the same time when the magic moves are released, he constantly shifts his position and keeps an eye on the fluctuations in the surrounding space to prevent Wu Chen from attacking with the silver blade. Ronan, every one of the Eternals, still haven't made a move. Doctor Strange shouted that he wanted to get all of them with him while attacking Wu Chen. Don't worry about so much, let's go. The Eternals squad leader finally made up his mind. He wants to join forces with Thanos to fight against the gods. Since it is already an alliance, he should advance and retreat together. So, the Eternals also took action. This group of Eternals, their fighting style is almost the same as the team on Earth. Some are good at melee, some are fast, some are able to fly, and some are long-distance attack. The Eternals are sent to different planets in batches, and their mission is to guard the humans on those planets, so that they can develop naturally, to the extent that they can eventually breed a new group of gods. Therefore, the configuration of each batch of Eternal race is similar. The specific difference is what they experienced while defending that planet and the thoughts they formed in the end. It's like the group on Earth, who finally stood on the side of humans to fight against the God group. The group in front of them is more extreme than the group on Earth, and they want to completely destroy the heavenly God group. Finally, have everything been shot? Wu Chen resisted the constant attacks from around him, but the expression on his face was still calm. Wu Chen, there is only one outcome of this war today, either you die or I die. As Thanos said, with his Infinity Gauntlet-powered attack moves, he constantly called on Wu Chen. No, you are wrong, the result should be, either you die or I live. Wu Chen said, your self-confidence won't last long. The Eternal Race team leader said, a laser has been shot out of his eyes. There are also weapons created with cosmic energy. There are attacks from the spiritual level. There is also a very fast figure, constantly shuttled around Wu Chen. This situation seems to be more complicated than when facing the Illuminati. The voice of the genetic system rang out in Wu Chen's sea of consciousness. Do you still need to say that? Wu Chen complained. During the Illuminati, although those superheroes were also present together, the number of them was still much worse than before. In particular, when Wu Chen faced the Illuminati, he only faced a few superheroes, and he didn't need to take into account the thousands of cosmic monster legions around him. Although duplication and super god robot block the three major legions and those cosmic monsters as much as possible in the outer. But the comparison of the number of duplication and super god robots is more than 100 times as simple as that of the three major legions. Therefore, when Wu Chen is fighting with super villains such as Thanos, you must always pay attention to these Leviathan monsters and Zeta Swiss soldiers who have entered the battle here. In the super god universe, this situation should have occurred, right? Can you find a solution for me through the big clock? Wu Chen asked. Although he is the master of the big clock, after all, he has only been in contact with the big clock for a few years. There are so many topics to study, and there are many situations that he does not understand, which is normal. There is a plan, but there is one. What plan? Fight to defeat the Buddha. Fight against the Buddha and Sun Wukong, a super warrior created based on mythology. Once, this fight defeated the Buddha in the super god universe, and he used his own strength to resist the invasion of Tian Dao Sheng. Although Pan Zhen, who was the strongest of the heavenly Dao Liang at that time, did not take action. If Do Shengfu can fight a fleet of super soldiers alone, it is enough to prove that Do Shengfu has the advantage in combat. Before the fourth generation of gods was developed, before the martial arts of killing gods were popularized, the ability to fight against Buddha in battle was the most special existence in the entire super god universe. Duplication. This was originally specially prepared for the super gene that fights over the Buddha, and later Hexi was just imitating it. Although I have always had the gene for fighting and defeating the Buddha in my body, so far, apart from duplication, I have not been exposed to any other skills of fighting and defeating the Buddha. Wu Chen said that in this matter, he actually didn't pay too much attention to the gene of fighting over Buddha. Since Wu Chen passed through, he has a big clock and has adapted the most powerful super genes in all the super god universe. The power of the galaxy, the god of war, the rose of time and space, the light of the sun. Each of these super genes that Wu Chen possesses is extremely powerful. Therefore, Wu Chen didn't pay enough attention to the fighting gene of fighting over Buddha. Fighting over the Buddha and Sun Wukong, he is proficient in all fighting skills, duplication, 3 heads and 6 arms, the law of heaven and earth, the movement of stars and stars. Said the genetic system. Although the Monkey King in the super god universe is not the real Monkey King in mythology, he does have a lot of extremely powerful supernatural powers in his genetic setting. At least, among the third generation super warriors, very few people can compete with him. Contend. The gene system's evaluation of Do Victory Buddha is much higher than Wu Chen's evaluation of Do Victory Buddha. I remember that in the original anime, Morgana was also afraid of fighting over the Buddha. Is it possible that the fighting ability of fighting over the Buddha can really match the Morgana of the fourth generation of gods? Wu Chen asked. Without the support of celestial-level computers, it is not easy for any main god to win the battle and defeat the Buddha. Said the genetic system. What you mean is that, in my current situation, I can use the gene of fighting to defeat the Buddha to be able to exert the greatest strength. Wu Chen did not expect such a situation. Although the genes of fighting over Buddha are not weak, in Wu Chen's impression, they should not be comparable to those of the main god-level existence. You asked about the plan to deal with the current situation. Now this is the best plan. Do you want to implement it? The genetic system asked. I don't know enough about the technology of the super god universe. Since you said this is the best solution, then I'll give it a try. Wu Chen said, but he also had some entanglements in his heart. They have spent 2 or 3 years researching the supernatural technology, but what they can understand is not all of the supernatural technology, not even the general idea. I thought that only the 4th generation gods and the technology above the void level did not understand. It was only now that he discovered that even these super genes in his body were not fully understood by him. Instructions have been received to activate the genetic code, fight to defeat the Buddha. When the voice of the genetic system came, Wu Chen's whole state changed. The pistol in hand remains unchanged. But on both sides of Wu Chen, there were 2 other heads and bodies growing out, which turned into 3 heads and 6 arms. In the hands of those 2 bodies, they were holding a dark alloy rod and a black cutting. According to your fighting habits, the 3 heads use the weapons you are good at, and the black cut god-killing power is stronger, and the power gem used to deal with Thanos is also more suitable. Genetic system analysis. As expected, it is my super genetic system, and it has a very thorough understanding of me. Wu Chen said, with his body holding the Spear of Eternity, facing Thanos in front of him. It's just that Thanos and the others at the moment have all been stunned in place one by one. Wu Chen suddenly turned into a 3-headed and 6-armed appearance, which shocked everyone present. Although the Marvel movie universe is full of bizarre cosmic creatures and monsters. But something like Wu Chen has never been seen before. A person who was originally powerful, first summoned duplication, and then turned into 3 heads and 6 arms. What kind of monster is this? Doctor Strange, who had been in contact with the Dark Book, was shocked by Wu Chen's appearance. Call me a monster. I just used some special skills. Wu Chen said. Well, special skills, your skills are really much. Doctor Strange said with emotion. What you see is not all of me. After speaking, Wu Chen rushed out. The one holding the Spear of Eternity directly took Thanos, the one holding the God-killing axe attacked Black Dwarf, and the target of the Dark Alloy Rod was Doctor Strange. Previously, Wu Chen had only one pair of eyes and two hands. Even though his fighting power was very strong, Wu Chen couldn't take good care of him in the face of these people attacking from all directions at the same time. But now, after he has 3 heads and 6 arms, he can always cope with this situation with ease. The most important thing is that after Wu Chen turned on the super gene to defeat the Buddha, the combat power of the surrounding duplications has also been further improved. Fighting Victory Buddha has unique advantages in controlling duplication. Although it is not as precise and powerful as the duplication controlled by Hexi, every duplication that defeats the Buddha can do whatever he wants instead of sticking to the battle mode fixed by the genetic system or the celestial computer. Isn't it just 3 heads and 6 arms? We have more than a dozen people here, and I don't believe you can fully take care of them. The Eternal Race team leader shouted, and all the Eternal Race members also charged desperately at this moment. But the situation is different. The previous style of swarming Wu Chen, which could temporarily suppress Wu Chen, was completely ineffective at this moment. The Dark Alloy Rod swept across, and the Eternals were instantly knocked into the air. Black Dwarf wanted to use the way he had previously fought against the Silver Blade with a flying slash of the God-killing axe, but as a result, he was instantly cut in half. There is no difference between the Spear of Eternity and Thanos. After all, Thanos has 3 infinite gems in his hand, and his original combat power is also the strongest among these people. But in any case, the war situation has begun to change. The super gene that fights against Buddha is definitely not the strongest among all super genes. But there is no doubt that he has a great advantage in battle. With just 3 heads and 6 arms, Wu Chen's combat power can be instantly doubled. Let all those supervillains who originally besieged him fall into a passive state one by one. Some of them are a bit stuck, which affects one day's update, and will be added as soon as possible. Sorry. Didn't he just change his body? Why does it feel that the combat effectiveness of the whole person has soared? Ronan is also in the battle at the moment, but his mood is very depressed. Wu Chen was not a good person from the beginning, no one should have any reservations about defeating him. Doctor Strange shouted, and the spells he cast became stronger and faster. Aren't you holding back? Then what can you change by going all out? Wu Chen is fighting at the moment, and he doesn't care what the people around him are doing, he just concentrates on his own battle. With 3 heads and 6 arms, each side applies the weapon in its hand to an excellent state. Although Wu Chen is alone against a dozen people, but as time goes by, at the moment can still compete with him head-on, and there is only one Thanos and Doctor Strange who constantly uses the magic of the Dark Sacred Book. The Eternals were very confident before, they were many and each possessed unique skills. But now, they are a complete failure. Wu Chen, no matter if it was the Spear of Eternity, the Axe of Killing Gods, or the Dark Alloy Rod, as long as any attack fell on them, they would be unable to resist. In the final analysis, their physical quality is not comparable to that of Thanos, and their attack power is not comparable to that of Doctor Strange. Most importantly, they do not realize that their Eternals' bodies have no advantage in front of Wu Chen. Super fighters, even if they are only the first generation of super fighters, can have a defense comparable to that of steel, and ordinary bullets and sword attacks cannot cause damage to their bodies. As a third-generation god, Wu Chen can withstand a nuclear explosion-level attack just by physical fitness. The power used by these Eternals is extremely high for ordinary people and even for supernatural beings. Lethality, but for Wu Chen, it is not worth mentioning. The stars are moving, all beings are in my hands. Wu Chen stepped back abruptly, his 3 heads and 6 arms faded. Wu Chen, who returned to his usual appearance, made the remaining people feel a stronger crisis. Only to see that the surrounding space has become distorted, Wu Chen has put away the Spear of Eternity and the Axe of Killing Gods, and the Dark Alloy Rod in his hand has now turned into a pillar that stirs the universe. With the stirring of the Dark Alloy Rod in Wu Chen's hand, an inexplicable force was generated in the space, and all people who were within a kilometer range around him would involuntarily move along. For those who move the stars, all the stars can move, not to mention the mere weight. Wu Chen said. The aura released from his body seemed to be the god of war who controlled the entire universe. Thanos, let's go. After Doctor Strange finished speaking, he opened the portal with a wave of his hand and shifted his position. Thanos also realized the seriousness of the problem. The energy of the space gem was stimulated, and it jumped out of Wu Chen's control for the first time. However, the others were not so lucky. They are trapped in the battle, and unlike Doctor Strange and Thanos, who have the ability to move in space, there is no way to escape. At the moment, they were weakly controlled by Wu Chen. With Wu Chen's hand waving the dark alloy rod, their positions were constantly shifted, and the flesh on their bodies seemed to be torn apart by the constantly pulling space. The law of heaven and earth. In just an instant, Wu Chen's figure turned into a huge amount of devil, and his right hand grabbed the space he had stirred earlier. Bah! With a light drink, a burst of energy suddenly burst out from the palm of your hand. When the palm was released again, the Eternal Squad, Corvus Glaive, Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive, who were held by Wu Chen in the palm, all turned into a flurry of ashes and disappeared without a trace. How can that be? Just such a simple move, wiped out so many of our allies. Both Thanos and Doctor Strange, at the moment were already in shock. Although Wu Chen had shown great combat power before, they were still able to confront him. But now, Wu Chen took everyone except the two of them in an instant. That eternal race, the guy who claimed to be more powerful than any other Avengers, was wiped out in one wave. Monsters, ghosts, and monsters, are you ready to capture them? Wu Chen turned into a devil, the huge amounts of Dharma were said, with a pair of crimson giant eyes, wherever they saw, all the Chitauri, Vanguard and Dark Star Legion soldiers were trembling all over. Duplication, superhuman robot, at the moment have all disappeared. The moment Wu Chen decided to use this method, he had already made the big clock take back all the super god robots, and duplication naturally returned to the dark matter plane space. All the firepower, aimed at the huge amounts of the body, and launched an attack. Thanos reacted suddenly, and immediately gave orders to the motherships under his command. Sanctuary Number 2, the Kitarui Mothership, and the Dark Star, the three motherships adjusted their directions at the same time, and all the firepower aimed at Wu Chen and launched an attack. Leviathan Giant Beast, Chitauri, Dark Star Legion, all those who fly in midair, at the moment all rushed towards Wu Chen. On the ground, the remaining Vanguard guards were also launching an attack, and some of them were close enough to use their four sharp claws to constantly scratch on Wu Chen's Dharma. Stubborn, Wu Chen yelled, and he threw the dark alloy rod after the huge size. It has turned into huge amounts of dark alloy rods like mountains, and was swept by Wu Chen in a 360-degree sweep. In an instant, the three motherships shattered, and all the Chitauri, Dark Star Legion, and Leviathan behemoths were all shot and flew out. Wu Chen, with one blow, destroyed most of Thanos' men. All that remains now are the Pioneer Guards who are still scratching their itch on the ground. The dark alloy rod held Hai Wang Hao up. Just when Wu Chen was going to knock it down with a stick, and then swept it against the ground, taking these Vanguard Guards away, the Nova Corps came. All Nova Corps ships lined up, weapon systems silent. Nova Supreme walked up to a tall building and shouted at Wu Chen. Lord Tenjin, please don't hurt the civilians of Xandar. As long as you let them live, from now on, my Nova Empire is willing to serve you forever. Nova Supreme's words obviously really regarded Wu Chen as the real ghosts and gods in those myths and legends. Since you have made me your god, I will follow your request. Wu Chen put away the dark alloy rod, and the gigantic law, heaven and earth dissipated at this moment. The Nova Supreme and the Nova Corps who witnessed all this were all relieved. Afterwards, all of them flew to Wu Chen's location. Everyone in the Nova Corps knew that Wu Chen was doing this to destroy all of Thanos' men. Now, at their request, Wu Chen gave up such a powerful attack. In return, they were to assist in the battle. With almost all air units under Thanos being wiped out by Wu Chen, the Nova Corps is no longer a threat. Those Vanguard Guards on the ground, although their numbers are still large. But in war, air units always have an overwhelming advantage over ground units. It's sensible. Seeing the Nova Corps who had come out to help him fight, Wu Chen nodded in relief. Summon the super god robots to help them fight together. Wu Chen said, the big clock has started the summoning program again. In order to avoid being accidentally injured by Wu Chen, the superhuman robot that was sent away in advance is now returning to the battlefield. The 3 major legions are missing too, and there are still 2 less capable of air combat. At the moment, there are not many subordinates under Thanos. Even his allies, those Eternals, those 4 Black Generals, and Neuronin. Now, there is only Doctor Strange left by Thanos' side. Thanos, we have lost, let's go. Doctor Strange knew very well that they had no chance of winning this war. Go, it's already here, where can we go? Thanos asked back. He is very aware of the situation he is facing right now. With Wu Chen, who has 3 infinite gems, and his ability to track the location of the entire universe, no matter where Thanos goes, Wu Chen will find him and chase after him. Instead of waiting until that time to be chased and fleeing, and finally exhausted, it is better to take advantage of Wu Chen's battle and fight with Wu Chen with all his strength. Can't you see it? Wu Chen's strength has surpassed us so much that we have no chance of winning at all. Doctor Strange said, whoever said I would definitely lose to Wu Chen, I haven't tried my best yet. As Thanos spoke, the 3 infinite gems on the Infinity Gauntlet flashed brightly at the same time. The power of infinite gems is absolutely formidable. If Wu Chen also uses 3 infinite gems, then the 2 sides will cancel each other out in this aspect, and then they will purely compete with each other's strengths. Thanos can't really beat him. But from his first meeting with Wu Chen until now, Wu Chen has never used those infinite gems. Even though he still has a stronger weapon in his hands, but he hasn't used it, there are only 2 reasons. First, Wu Chen didn't know how to use it at all. Second, Wu Chen disdains to use it because of his confidence in his own strength. Thanos couldn't figure out what the reason for Wu Chen was. But in his opinion, there is a half chance of this, because Wu Chen doesn't know how to use infinite gems. Last time in Nidavi, Thanos lost to Wu Chen. But at that time, Thanos had only 1 power gem in his hand. Now, with 3 gems in his hand, even if Wu Chen's strength is abnormal, he will never surpass Sankei infinite gems. You must know that infinite gems are all existences with a powerful force to destroy the universe. It seems that you have decided to compete with me. Wu Chen looked at Thanos. The eye of insight couldn't see through all the thoughts of Thanos at the moment, but could read it roughly. You and I are destined to have a battle, which is absolutely unavoidable. Thanos said. He really decided to compete with Wu Chen here. If you insist on doing this, then I will have to accompany you to the end. Doctor Strange stood up. Although he really wanted to leave, he and Thanos were allied after all. At this time, he would leave Thanos alone and run away, which would be a bit unethical. Exactly, the 2 of you, I cleaned up together. Wu Chen said. The dark alloy rod flicked, and the power exploded from his body, forming a red gas visible to the naked eye, like a burning Seth flame. Looks strong, but we don't necessarily lose. After Thanos finished speaking, the Infinity Gauntlet on his left hand flashed blue. A space wormhole appeared in front of Thanos, and he smashed his fist into the wormhole. Behind Wu Chen, a fist appeared out of thin air. This is obviously learned from Wu Chen. Wu Chen likes to use this method to attack unexpectedly. But this trick is not created by Wu Chen, but those who master the wormhole ability in the Super God universe like to fight in this way. Especially Du Qiangwei. As the owner of the space-time gene, she is the most adept at wormhole combat in the entire Super God universe, and also mastered the most suitable weapon for wormhole ability control in the Super God universe, Xingming. Xingming, this weapon, I remember that I also built it. Wu Chen suddenly thought of this. Driven by his mind, a silver cross-shaped weapon appeared behind him and cut it towards Thanos' hand. Thanos quickly withdrew his hand, and Xingming flew over with his skin inserted. Where is this weapon from? Thanos asked almost subconsciously. Well, a weapon that can be remotely controlled. Although it can't beat Keisha's silver wings in terms of power, it is better than the attack distance is far enough, and it's elusive. Wu Chen said. Xingming suddenly appeared on the left of Thanos. Thanos didn't dodge, but raised his left hand directly, and the blue light flickered to form a barrier, blocking Xingming. The next moment, on the other side, another star appeared, also flying towards Thanos. Thanos is still resisting Xingming on this side, and another one comes out on the other side. It is too late to dodge, so he has to repeat the old trick, forming a barrier with space gem to resist Xingming's attack. But the third star appeared again. It swirled from the front, stabbing at Thanos' chest. At the critical moment, Doctor Strange shot and pulled Thanos directly to his side with the portal. How many of these weapons do you have? Thanos slowed down, looked at Wu Chen and asked. Xingming, there has always been only one. Wu Chen said. Xingming has appeared beside him. 3 just came out. Thanos said. That's a space-time projection. Although it looks like there are 3, in fact, there is only one. It's just that the same star is projected onto a target from 3 different space-times at the same time. Wu Chen said. Space-time projection. Thanos was depressed all over. Although this move is quite powerful, speaking of it, it doesn't seem to be as good as Keisha's silver wing. Wu Chen said. The dozen or so silver blades immediately appeared in the left, right, front and rear directions of Thanos. The time and space projection of Xingming is superfluous. With silver blades, you can do whatever you want. Keisha's silver wings, the most powerful weapon in the super god universe, although the pure destructive power is not as good as the god-killing axe Black Cutting of the god of war, but its sharpness and flexibility make it in killing gods. In the battle, it has a very strong combat power. In the past, no one in the super god universe could be Keisha's opponent, and in this, Keisha's silver wings obviously played a great role. Facing the beating, Keisha directly created the sacred realm based on the silver wings. One-on-one duel, Keisha's silver wing is kaleidoscopic shapeshift, and it is extremely powerful. Even Morgana, the 4th-generation divine body, has a great fear of this silver wing. At this moment, Wu Chen was manipulating Keisha's silver wings and attacking Thanos. Previously, the space-time projection of Xingming brought great pressure to Thanos. Now, the pressure brought by Silver Wing is obviously greater than that brought by Xingming. Silver Wing does not need space-time projection. It originally has hundreds of them, and it is easier to operate than Xingming. The operation of attacking targets from different angles at the same time is easy. The purple energy burst, facing the silver wings attacking from all directions at the same time. Thanos could not avoid it. So, he chose the most direct way, with the powerful power of infinite gems, hard attacking Wu Chen's attack. The burst of purple energy formed a shockwave, blocking all the surrounding silver blades. I have mastered 3 infinite gems. Orange energy rioted, and with the help of purple energy, a strong energy wave flew towards Wu Chen. It is a shock specifically aimed at the soul, an energy attack generated by the soul gem. With flapping wings, Wu Chen retreated into the wormhole and moved behind Thanos. In the face of Soul Gem's attack, Wu Chen will not choose to pick it up, because he doesn't know what Soul Gem's power is. Not only that, other attacks, he will not easily pick up. For example, the red magic whip being thrown over by Doctor Strange. Get out of here. The moment the words were spoken, a powerful dark energy appeared above Doctor Strange, and the pressure released by Wu Chen made Doctor Strange sway. He took a few steps back. If the magical power of the Dark Divine Book in his body erupted naturally, I am afraid he would not be able to withstand the pressure. Your opponent is me. Do you still have the mind to take care of others? The voice of Thanos came, and a huge blue fist appeared in the air. The fist was aimed at Wu Chen, and it fell directly with one punch. Wu Chen did not hide, but in the same way, punched upwards. It was a fist composed of huge dark energy, and Wu Chen was going to once again resist Thanos' attack based on infinite gems. Boom! The violent explosion caused all the people on Xandar to look to this side in unison. The pressure on Doctor Strange dissipated, and he stepped back to a distance of 100 meters. His hands quickly formed a seal, obviously to summon the next stronger magic. The time cage. Wu Chen slammed his right hand, and a black iron cage fell from the sky, covering Doctor Strange's body. At the moment when the time-space cage landed, Doctor Strange felt an unprecedented sense of powerlessness. All the magical power in his body could not be used. Don't waste your efforts. The time-space cage exists to trap those troublesome opponents. Wu Chen said. The space-time cage is the product of Merlot Heavenly Court. When Ronning left Merlot Heavenly Court, he also secretly took it away. In the next battle, Ronning used the space-time cage to trap Morgana. At that time, Morgana couldn't directly snatch this space-time cage, and in the end, she could only find a way to destroy it. But now, Wu Chen summoned him again for the purpose of blockade, but the target of the blockade was not the warrior of the supernatural universe, but the Doctor Strange from the parallel universe who had been helping Thanos on the side. Morgana is the fourth-generation divine body, capable of breaking the cage of time and space. Doctor Strange's strength is not comparable to Wu Chen, who is still in the third generation, so naturally there is no way to destroy it. So, Doctor Strange was completely trapped. In the interior of the empty cage at that time, all magic could not be cast, and even the most basic magic of shifting positions, such as space magic, could not be cast at this moment. Thanos. Doctor Strange looked at Thanos. At this time, he could only let Thanos help him. Thanos really cared about Doctor Strange's ally, raising his hand and punching him towards the cage of time and space. Wu Chen ignored Thanos' rescue of Doctor Strange, and took advantage of this opportunity to attack Thanos. Surrounding way to rescue Zhao, and besieging points for aid. Thanos' attention was on the time-space cage. Wu Chen's attack direction is the Infinity Gauntlet in Thanos' hands. Go back. Doctor Strange reminded that Thanos' face also darkened at the moment. Are you still in time? On Wu Chen's body, a stronger burst of energy erupted. It is not the gene that fights against Buddha, nor is it the rose of time and space or the king of angels. But the power of the galaxy. The power of the galaxy, the sword that cuts through the void. As the most powerful of the three major god-building projects, as the supreme god that has been carefully crafted by the Super Seminary for tens of thousands of years. This super gene is accompanied by an unprecedented skill called sanctions. There is no way to retreat, no way to avoid it, then let us compare, who is stronger. Thanos knew that this time, he had no chance to escape. The three infinite gems burst into light at the same time, and Thanos used his most powerful strength to condense a fist. The last person who was punished by the power of the galaxy has now turned into fly ash and disappeared without a trace. Although you have infinite gems, can you withstand it? Wu Chen said, the ultimate sanction has been issued. The last person he said was punished was naturally Hela, the goddess of death in Asgard. But at that time, Wu Chen did not use all his power, and at that time Wu Chen was only the third generation of super warriors and did not really have a divine body. Bring it on, Thanos roared, his fist was already smashing towards the big sword that appeared above his head. Boom, there was another loud noise, and the impact this time was stronger than the last time. The entire Xandar star was shaking, and deep cracks spread out on the ground, as if a huge earthquake had torn apart the entire Earth. In midair, the rest of Thanos' subordinates and the Nova Corps battleships all lost power and fell one after another. The powerful energy shock made everything unbearable. The impact of the explosion began to dissipate gradually. When people recovered from their trance, they saw the center of the explosion. There, all the surrounding buildings had been razed to the ground, and a huge amount of sinkhole appeared. Wu Chen flapped his wings and was suspended in midair. On the ground, Thanos was kneeling on the ground, the infinite gems on his left hand were shining, but his right arm was already scarred. In this battle, Wu Chen used his strongest blow against Thanos of the three infinite gems, and Wu Chen actually had the upper hand. How is this possible? Doctor Strange was in the cage of time and space, and he who witnessed this scene with his own eyes could not accept such an ending. If Wu Chen had just used the power of the three infinite gems in his hand to fight against Thanos, then everything would be for sure. 630, but now Wu Chen is fighting with only his own strength, and he has won. That can be the strongest substance in the entire Marvel movie universe. Although the three infinite gems can't do whatever they want, the power generated by the combination of each other is absolutely unparalleled. But it is such a powerful force that even Wu Chen's own strength can't match. What kind of terrifying monster are you? Thanos looked up. Even though his body was full of scars, the unwillingness in Thanos' heart at the moment supported him to stand up again. The most powerful substance that this universe has had since its birth lost to a human being who relies on technology to continuously strengthen itself. It was once regarded as the omnipotent divine power by everyone, but now it seems that it is nothing more than that. Monster. I'm just at the forefront of technology, I'm just integrating the power of the entire universe into one. Wu Chen said. The power of the entire universe. Thanos looked at Wu Chen suspiciously. Yes, that's right. Wu Chen said. He was still standing in the air, but behind him, there was a huge figure in the dark matter plane that only Thanos could see at the moment. Although what you see on weekdays is just an ordinary person, but in fact, I have the most powerful operating system behind me. Wu Chen said, and the operating system he mentioned is naturally a big clock. As the most powerful celestial computer in the super god universe. At the same time, it is the most important plug-in for Wu Chen in this universe. The ability of the big clock is undoubtedly powerful. From the moment Wu Chen crossed over and mastered the big clock, Wu Chen was no longer a simple human being. Behind him, he has been communicating the huge energy of the entire universe. In the past few years, the big clock has been exploring the outer universe all the time, and every fixed star it has explored has become the energy support of the big clock. From the sun in the solar system where the Earth is located, to the third spiral arm of the Milky Way, and now it has covered the entire Milky Way. Although, there is still a big gap to truly reach the scope of the entire universe. But the fixed star energy within this range is indescribably powerful. The power of infinite gems is so powerful that such a power gem can easily destroy a planet. But the big clock that communicates all the fixed star energy in the entire galaxy, the power is naturally stronger. You must know that just a sun, its instantaneous burst of energy is enough to destroy the entire Earth. If there is a super strong solar storm, the entire solar system is in jeopardy. Then, what about the power of these thousands of suns linked together and then erupted together? What's more, at the moment, the big clock can search and accurately mark its position, and extract its energy at any time to provide support for Wu Chen and the big clock's operations. There are not only 1,800 fixed stars. In this situation, Wu Chen said that Thanos is fighting the entire universe with the power of 3 infinite gems, and there is nothing wrong with that. It is clear that I am the one who controls the strongest power in the universe. How could I possibly lose to you? Thanos still couldn't accept it. After all, the impact was too strong. 6 infinite gems are gathered together. You have to say that it is the strongest force in this universe. I have no objection. After Wu Chen finished speaking, the 3 infinite gems of time, mind and reality have also been in his hands. There are only 3, even the 3 in my hand. In my self-perception, I haven't been able to surpass myself, so the 3 in your hand are definitely not my opponent. Wu Chen said. His words seemed casual, but for Thanos and Doctor Strange, it was a bolt from the blue. It turned out that Wu Chen didn't know how to use the power of infinite gems. From the very beginning, he didn't plan to use that power to fight Thanos, but purely relied on his own power to win. Thanos, do you know where you lost? Wu Chen asked suddenly. Me, where did I lose? Thanos asked. You lost. The 3 infinite gems in your hand are exactly similar to the field I was originally good at. The super gene that Wu Chen is best at now is the rose of time and space, the power of the galaxy, the god of war of the stars, and the light of the sun. Wu Chen, who has the deepest gene of the space-time rose, has not yet figured out, but for now, it has a great advantage in wormholes, that is, it has a power similar to the space gem. God of war and sunlight, these 2 pure power warriors, the former is stronger in combat, and the latter is more terrifying in destructive power. As for the soul gem, it is aimed at the human soul. But the power of the galaxy, when it was set, gave the idea of the strongest and most tenacious spirit. In the face of the ultimate fear he will go forth to become the sword that cuts through the void. Therefore, soul gem's interference with Wu Chen is actually meaningless. One more thing, you lose, you shouldn't fight me head to head. Wu Chen said. The power of the ultimate sanction suddenly increased, and the energy in Wu Chen became stronger and stronger. Originally, with the power of the space gem, you can do a lot of things, especially when it comes to escaping. Even me, that's not as good as that. But you want to use the power of the space gem on the power gem, and burst out a powerful force together, wanting to solve me once and for all. As a result, you lost to me, and you were defeated by me in a state where you thought you would win. Wu Chen's words, like knives, stabbed into the heart of Thanos fiercely, making Thanos, who has not shown the slightest fear in the past thousands of years, at the moment actually seems a little joyous. Wu Chen, he really defeated Thanos by himself. I lost, completely lost. Thanos shook his head. He was not Wu Chen's opponent with 3 infinite gems. If Wu Chen used the power of infinite gems, he would have no chance of winning. Without the slightest chance of winning, what else could he do except accept his fate? You never had a chance of winning, didn't Strange tell you that? When Wu Chen said this, he looked back at Doctor Strange in the parallel universe. What do you mean by that? Thanos wondered. Isn't the purpose of Strange coming here from other universes to let the storyline go on normally and to let someone who should exist in the future be born smoothly? Wu Chen said, and when Thanos heard what he said, his face became even more ugly. If you follow the normal timeline, they think you will get infinite gems, but then no matter what, you will not be able to achieve the ideal of destroying half of the human beings in the universe, because the superhero on Earth, and the Doctor Strange in front of you, will both do your best to save it all. Wu Chen's words was not only shocked by Thanos, but even the Doctor Strange, at the moment was dazed. He didn't know why, but Wu Chen knew all this so clearly. So, from the beginning, I was just a pawn used by others. Thanos sighed with emotion. He is a dignified generation of hegemons, and there is no force or anyone in the entire galaxy that can compete with him. But now, in Wu Chen's hands, he was just a defeated general, and in Doctor Strange's eyes, he was a flag to be played with. I am not using you, I simply want to work with you, otherwise I would not have put infinite gems in your hands, said Doctor Strange, who was now tied to a boat with Thanos. If Thanos defected at the moment, it would be a huge blow to Doctor Strange, and it would likely cost him his last chance. Infinite gems is in hand. You are an invincible existence in this universe. Even if I have other thoughts in my mind, it is impossible to threaten you who have mastered the power of infinite gems. In this case, how could I regard you as a piece? Doctor Strange said aloud. This time, Thanos' face finally improved. Yes, Doctor Strange might actually be using him. But as Doctor Strange himself said, the infinite gems are in his hands, Thanos, and even if Doctor Strange has other ideas, it is impossible to pose a threat to himself by then. That's right, if you get all the infinite gems at the moment, all the assumptions of said will be invalid. Wu Chen said, it's just that, in a state where you don't know anything in advance, when you have fulfilled your long-cherished wish and destroyed half of the human race, what are you going to do next? Should I go to your small garden and destroy the infinite gems that you finally collected once and for all? When your infinite gems are completely destroyed, then I have been killed by you with the power of infinite gems, and you have no more infinite gems available. What are you going to do to stop other people from doing what they want to do? Wu Chen's words hit the spot every time. People in the past never thought that the established fact could be changed. But now, everyone has realized that time was not originally fixed. This Doctor Strange came here across parallel universes for a powerful monarch to be born in the future. Even if everything you said is true, at least one, he will help me first and snatch infinite gems. Thanos' thinking has been clear. He was a person who would not easily trust others. The main reason for his previous emotional excitement was just because he lost to Wu Chen. Now, with the passage of time, the ability to bear in his heart has gradually recovered. After calming down and thinking about it carefully, he also understood the situation of at the moment. That's right, I'll help you get infinite gems. Doctor Strange shouted. Win the infinite gems. Do you still have a chance to take these 3 infinite gems from me? Wu Chen said. 3 infinite gems have been summoned in his hand. It was green, gold, red. Time, mind and reality. The appearance of the 3 infinite gems immediately caught the attention of Thanos and Doctor Strange. But they soon realized that this was not the time for them to be happy. Strange, don't you use all your strength? Thanos roared, and the 3 gems on his infinity gauntlet lit up at the same time. Thanos has already lost to Wu Chen, but he can still activate the power of infinite gems, even if it is not as powerful as before. On the other side, Doctor Strange summoned the Dark Book. The book was spread out in front of him. A burst of intense red light spread. Doctor Strange began to summon one of the most powerful dark magic. The appearance of dark magic instantly devoured the time-space cage, and a twisted gate appeared in front of Doctor Strange, and then led him out of the blockade of the time-space cage. The hands are constantly changing, and more powerful magical energy is being released around Doctor Strange. The magic staggered together, and then transformed into a huge amount of black shadow, rushing towards Wu Chen. When Wu Chen shook hands, the 3 infinite gems disappeared, and in his hand, the Spear of Eternity was summoned. To deal with the wonderful and powerful divine power in this world, Wu Chen definitely has to use divine power to fight against it. The Eternal Spear flipped over, and a white light shot out from the tip of the spear. It flew towards the dark energy gathered from Doctor Strange's body. The two energies collided, and the advantage of the eternal spear clearly prevailed. But at this moment, Thanos also launched a counterattack. He developed the energy of the power gem to the maximum and blasted directly to where Wu Chen was. Wu Chen swept the spear in his hand, but he himself had disappeared in place. The wormhole was transferred, Wu Chen was behind Thanos, and the spear's tip pierced straight into Thanos's back. A person who has already failed, even if he can control his power, he is still a loser, making him vulnerable. After Wu Chen finished speaking, he disappeared in place in an instant, and when he reappeared, he was already by Doctor Strange's side. Doctor Strange saw what happened to Thanos, he knew what Wu Chen was doing, and he knew that once he suffered the same damage as Thanos, he would definitely not be able to bear it. "Sorry, I can't take it anymore," Doctor Strange shouted, disappearing quickly. He is running away. He originally came from a parallel universe, and now he has found an opportunity to return to the original universe. In the process of avoiding Wu Chen's attack, he spent a huge amount of dark energy and forcibly escaped. "Are you using all your strength just to leave me and run away?" Thanos was seriously injured, but at the moment he was crying helplessly. Wu Chen stood there, watching where Doctor Strange disappeared, and Thanos who was on the verge of death. "Doctor Strange is gone, your path has come to an end." Wu Chen walked up to Thanos and looked at Thanos, who was scarred at the moment. His huge army has been wiped out. His strong body was also weakened. His trusted ally eventually escaped on his own. Although Thanos in the movie ended in failure, his life was undoubtedly a success. But here's Thanos, he was a failure from the start. The key to his failure was that his opponent changed from Avengers to Wu Chen. "All I want is for the remaining half of the universe to live unrestrictedly and happily," Thanos said. A self-deceiving statement. You still have the nerve to tell people all over the universe, are you really stupid or do you think everyone in the universe is stupid? Wu Chen asked back. What do you mean by that? Thanos asked rhetorically. You are also a person who has lived for thousands of years. Don't you know how the population of a planet develops? Wu Chen asked. You say that you are a person cursed by science, you must understand the truth, so from the beginning, you were just looking for an excuse to carry out your atrocities. Wu Chen's words were very straightforward, and Thanos' heart naturally understood. But a person who insists on a dream for thousands of years, even if he knows it is wrong, it is difficult for him to correct it. What's more, Thanos, he has no chance to correct. Perhaps, there is a so-called underworld in this world, and your soul can still live in the kingdom of death. Then, after you get there, go and think carefully about everything I said today. Bar. After finishing speaking, Wu Chen's right hand was directly under his command, and the sword of judgment that imposed the final sanction reappeared and landed directly on Thanos. Last time, Thanos could still rely on the power of infinite gems to compete, but this time, Thanos was already waiting. The long sword fell, and the generation of heroes came to an end. The last thing he left was the Infinity Gauntlet and the 3 infinite gems inlaid on the gloves. Wu Chen waved his hand at will and grabbed the Infinity Gauntlet into his hands. 3 infinite gems were taken down by him, and the Infinity Gauntlet was thrown directly into the dark matter plane by him. Space, soul, power, the attributes of these 3 infinite gems are different from the previous 3, but the magnitude of the power is the same. The voice of the genetic system came. The moment Wu Chen got the infinite gems, the Eye of Insight was already analyzing the 3 infinite gems. The 6 infinite gems represent different attributes. After being scattered, a single one only has the power to destroy the stars, but when the 6 are gathered together, they can destroy the universe. Wu Chen said, the other 3 infinite gems have also been summoned by him. Time, space, mind, soul, reality, power. Time and space, this is the ability that Chaoshan technology is also gradually realizing. At the space level, Wu Chen's micro-wormhole handling technology and worm bridge terminal, etc., are more superior than space gem. But in terms of time, Wu Chen has not yet started to contact, but relevant information data is recorded in the big clock, and the hourglass does exist. Among the other 4 infinite gems, the power is the purest, and the reality gem's ability should be able to be achieved after Wu Chen masters the void ability. Mind Gem, its performance in the movie is actually not as strong as the ability of those celestial computers in super god technology. As for Soul Gem, it is the most special. The soul, for the human body and life, has always been a most mysterious topic. In the super god technology, although there is also a precedent for death god Karl to transfer Yi's spiritual body to a cat for sojourn, but that is only a superficial approach to the soul. In the Marvel movie universe, there are not many descriptions of Soul Gem, except that it imprisoned Red Skull in Vomir Star as his Asgardian through a soul contract. When Thanos and Hawkeye and others went to get gems, they needed to sacrifice to get them. In addition, the description of Soul Gem in the movie is very little. All 6 infinite gems, the other 5 have their excellent performance. The Space Gem forged the plot of Avengers 1. The Time Gem is the key to Doctor Strange 1. Mind Gem forged the plot of Avengers 2. The Power Stone is what led to the founding of Guardians of Galaxy. The Reality Gem indirectly led to the destruction of the entire Asgard. There is only Soul Gem, and there is no exclusive movie about it in the entire Marvel movie series. In Avengers Alliance 3, where all infinite gems appear, its appearance serves as the backdrop for Thanos' personality. In the plot of Avengers Alliance 4, all infinite gems have become tools and decorations, but they are just objects that cause competition between the two parties and promote the development of the story. There is no description of their original ability at all. System, let the big clock give me a detailed interpretation of Soul Gem. I want to know if there really is a small world inside it. Quote. Wu Chen said, about Soul Gem is the entrance to a special new world, and it is the setting man who exists in the manga. But now, based on the plot that appeared in the movie, Wu Chen believes that Soul Gem must have had a secret that had not been decoded originally, and this secret, Wu Chen wanted to find out. Because of various known factors in the previous interpretation of the Reality Gem, and it was a frontline analysis, the loss was not very large, but now if you want to analyze and interpret a non-limited gemstone in detail, I am afraid you need to. It consumes a huge amount of energy. Said the genetic system. Energy consumption. The big clock consumes fixed star energy from the very beginning. In the first generation, it relied on the energy of the sun, but later the big clock began to explore outside the solar system and repositioned many fixed stars as new supplies. Energy, do we still need to care about that in this case? Wu Chen asked. The big clock is the most advanced celestial computer in the super god universe, and Wu Chen's big clock is more comprehensive and superior than that big clock. Although astronomical computers need to consume a lot of fixed star energy as computing support. But the big clock never needs to be fixed near a certain fixed star. It can synchronize the energy of multiple fixed stars to obtain supplies at the same time through technologies such as wormholes. In this state, Wu Chen naturally never worried about the problem of loss. All the energy previously consumed by the big clock is the energy emitted by the fixed star that is positioned. Originally, this consumption will not shorten the service life of the fixed star. However, if a large-scale computing program is performed, the energy consumed in a short period of time is extremely large, and the large clock will have to accelerate the absorption of fixed star energy and actively speed up the generation of fixed star energy. So, once we start to analyze and solve the Soul Gem in detail, we will probably consume more than one fixed star's service life. The genetic system describes the situation in detail. Meaning, if I want to perform such an operation, I need to consume one or more suns as computing power, right? Wu Chen asked. He actually knew for a long time that the use of the big clock requires such consumption. Think about it in the Super Seminary anime, the sacred knowledge treasure house in order to calculate the most suitable object to become Keisha's heir in the whole universe, but consumes several fixed star energy at one time. Solving an infinite gems may not be as computationally intensive as finding an heir in the entire universe. But infinite gems, as the most magical substance in the Marvel movie universe, originally had great energy and can interact with each other. In this state, if you want to analyze it thoroughly, the calculation amount must not be too low. There are so many fixed stars in the universe, it's not a big deal to consume one or two stars, you can solve it directly. Wu Chen said. The big clock is the strongest celestial computer built by Kamigawa civilization. Although there are no restrictions after it is given to you, due to the moral concept of Kamigawa civilization, this system recommends that you carefully select those surrounding areas that are not organic. The fixed star that exists in the living body is the main consumption object. Said the genetic system. Yo, the moral concept of Kamigawa civilization, do you still have this thing? Wu Chen was slightly surprised. This gene system was generated after he obtained super genes and became a super soldier, that is to say, it was purely his own auxiliary system. Over the years, this super gene system has fully assisted Wu Chen, allowing Wu Chen to reach the present step by step with the help of the data in the big clock. During this process, he never discovered that the so-called moral concept of the Kamigawa civilization still existed in the super gene system. In the super divine universe, even beast civilizations with different shapes will respect the basic self morality of the Kamigawa civilization. One of the basic principles, said the genetic system. This super gene system, although it was born because of you, all super genes in your body are from the super warriors of various super god universes known in the big clock. Therefore, the moral concept of this Kamigawa civilization is also it's naturally present in the super gene in your body. If you say that, I have the genes of the power of the galaxy in me, should I still have to be as brave and kind as him? Also as righteous as angel, or as depraved as the devil? Wu Chen asked, but in fact, he didn't believe this. Because, since he obtained all those super genes, he has not found himself confused in this regard. No matter what kind of super gene ability is used, Wu Chen can do whatever he wants, because they all belong to Wu Chen and are controlled by Wu Chen's subjective thoughts. What is said in the so-called super soldier genes is originally different from person to person, and there has never been a saying that the so-called super genes determine the character of a super soldier. The genetic system answered. Yes, there was a hint of doubt in Wu Chen's tone. The characters who appear in the super seminary actually have a very high similarity in their personalities with the settings of their super genes. This is just a relationship of fit. Only the person whose personality matches the original setting of the super gene can play the best ability of the super gene. Therefore, before all super soldiers are born, those who give them super genes will, after many investigations and careful screening, the most suitable person was finally determined as the inheritor of this super gene. Said the genetic system. Well, if you say that, I understand. Wu Chen nodded. The meaning of this gene system obviously means that it is not the super genes that cast personality, but the people who create these super genes will give priority to the people they like to inherit this super gene. The super seminary has existed in the super divine universe for more than tens of thousands of years, and almost all the super warriors in the Denuo galaxy are involved in it, especially the three major god-building projects and the space-time rose, which are the most core projects of the super seminary. Dukao stayed on Earth for thousands of years. During this period, Dukao chose Zhe Xiaolun's family as the successor of the power gene of the galaxy among thousands of people. After that, they continued to observe and guide this family for thousands of years, until the generation of Zhe Xiaolun. In fact, they are still observing. However, with the sudden arrival of the gluttonous army, the war between gods and gods spread to the earth, and the super gene hidden in Zhe Xiaolun's body was activated in advance. I'm different from their super fighters because my super genes were chosen by me, not by super genes. Wu Chen said that he first became a super soldier, the most primitive super gene randomly matched by the system. After that, Wu Chen chose the ones he liked based on all the super gene models recorded in the big clock, and then adapted them with his own super genes, and finally combined them to form the unique individual he is now. Since I am different from them, why did your super genetic system suddenly have a so-called Kamigawa civilization moral concept? Wu Chen asked. Perhaps it's because most of the super genes you've chosen were researched by Kamigawa civilization and super seminary, and all of them maintain a respectful attitude towards the moral concepts of Kamigawa civilization. Said the genetic system. Is that so? Wu Chen asked back, but after thinking about it carefully, he realized that what he chose was indeed of this type. But think about it again, aren't the really powerful super genes in the super god universe all of this type? As for those like Yi and Death God Karl who do not follow the moral concepts of the Kamigawa civilization, although they are powerful, what is powerful is not their original genes, but the subsequent continuous development and the blessing of void technology. The current Wu Chen has not yet entered the void stage. If he only relies on super genes, he will naturally choose super genes that are extremely powerful in terms of settings, such as the three major god-building projects and the space-time rose. Since you feel that the moral concept of the Kamigawa civilization needs to be respected, then do it in accordance with the moral concept of the Kamigawa civilization, and choose the sun in those galaxies that do not have life forms as the core energy consumed by the big clock. Wu Chen said, "Thank you for your respect for Kamigawa's ethics," said the genetic system. "Come on, hurry up and start analyzing it for me." Wu Chen said that what he really cares about now is the situation of Soul Gem. As for the consumption of fixed star energy, Wu Chen did not intend to use the sun in those galaxies with living beings. Wu Chen retracted his thoughts and turned around to see that all the Nova Corps members had come behind him. They were lined up, and Captain Thrall, the captain, stood at the front of the team. None of them knew Wu Chen, but they all saw Wu Chen, a powerful fighting force. Originally, because of the sudden appearance of this war, they still had a trace of condemnation for Wu Chen in their hearts. But after Nova Supreme made a request to Wu Chen and Wu Chen agreed, the trace of condemnation in their hearts disappeared. "Do you have anything to tell me?" Wu Chen asked. "I have sworn that I will worship you as a god. Can I ask Lord God of Heaven to tell us our name so that we can remember it forever?" Captain Sal said. "Wu Chen." Wu Chen replied casually. "Ah, is that your name?" Captain Thrall was slightly taken aback. "Yes." Wu Chen nodded. "Since it's a god, it's better to have a separate title. If you don't say one today, I'm afraid people will sing it by themselves in the future, and I'm afraid that the result of the singing may not be as you wish." Captain Thrall said. "Well, that's the truth." Wu Chen nodded, thinking in his heart. To name it, it is indeed what the super warriors in the super god universe like to do. For example, the King of Heaven, King of Heaven, King of Apocalypse, the power of the galaxy, the light of the sun, and so on. Then what should he call Wu Chen? According to the super gene settings to take. But the super genes in Wu Chen's body are not formed by a single set of super genomes. In Wu Chen's body, there are all the top genes of the super god universe, and the weapons he uses are also the top of all kinds in the super god universe. Wu Chen likes eternity, but in the Marvel movie universe, there is already an eternity, which is the legendary eternity that is omnipotent and created the entire universe. Just forever. In the end, Wu Chen chose eternal as the name. Although there is already an eternity in this universe. But Wu Chen still likes eternity, and the ultimate goal he pursues is eternity. Could it be that you are the legendary eternal god? Captain Thrall looked at Wu Chen in shock. Regarding eternity, although no one has ever seen it, many people in the universe have heard of the name eternity. After all, it is too loud. "No, I'm not the eternity you think I am, I'm just someone who pursues the real eternity," Wu Chen said casually, but these words were remembered by Captain Sar and others. After that, they created a statue of Wu Chen, and the signature under that statue is Eternal Sun. Definitely, these are things that will happen in the future. Now Wu Chen didn't think about it, and didn't care so much. All the infinite gems have been obtained, Thanos and his allies have been wiped out, Wu Chen no longer needs to stay here. After casually saying goodbye to Captain Thrall and others, he directly opened the wormhole and returned to Earth. At the moment on Earth, things are not going well. The moment Wu Chen returned to the Institute, he saw an entire naval fleet surrounded by it. Wu Chen reconnected with the space-based computing group, and he quickly learned everything. Civil war breaks out in Marvel movie universe's Avengers, and it's bigger than in the movies. In the Superhero Registration Act, Wu Chen is also defined as superhero, and as the most dangerous superhero. After a hunt for Hulk, the alliance of countries believed that it was necessary to control all superhero on Earth, so they sent a fleet to surround Wu Chen's research institute. Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Vision and Hulk, at the moment, came to Wu Chen's laboratory together. Now, the whole Earth has become a mess, and every country is targeting superhero, and the situation is extremely bad. Scarlet Witch said, "We are regarded as the key monitoring target here. The fleet outside is fully armed, and in a military base not far away, there is already a whole fighter formation, ready to attack at any time." Vision said, "Those people are so disgusting." Hulk complained. He really had a fight with those soldiers, and he escaped back here after the fight was over. "Before I left, I knew that a war was about to break out, but I didn't expect that the scope of the outbreak would be so large." Wu Chen said. The time he left this time did not last long, but the situation in the Earth was completely different. "Then what should we do now?" Although the fleet that surrounds us can't threaten us, it's not a solution to keep them surrounded all the time. Scarlet Witch asked. I don't take the initiative to provoke people, but when someone points a gun at my door, I won't be polite to them. Wu Chen said, and in the blink of his eyes, the defense system of the entire island opened directly. Sir, are you trying to attack them? Vision sensed the activation of the weapon system and immediately asked. Wu Chen, let's give them some warning first. After all, the people on the boat are just soldiers who obey orders. There is no need to let them die in vain. Scarlet Witch also spoke up. You all think so? Wu Chen glanced at the 4 people around him. Well, this time, why don't you let us deal with it first? If we can't handle it well, you can come forward. Scarlet Witch said. Okay, then, it happened that I fought a battle in Xandar Star, and I was a little tired. I will leave this matter to you first. Wu Chen said. Why don't I accompany you to rest? I'll help you relax. Scarlet Witch said, and after hearing her words, both Vision and Quicksilver looked a little weird. Although they already knew that Scarlet Witch fell in love with Wu Chen, they still didn't expect that she would say so. Wu Chen did not refuse. After Scarlet Witch got Wu Chen's reply, he was also excited. After so long, although her relationship with Wu Chen has become more and more intimate, she has never been able to get to that point. Unexpectedly, today ushered in an opportunity to die. On the outskirts of the island, above the fleet's aircraft carrier, Vision appeared. On the mothership, all the soldiers took out their weapons and aimed at Vision as soon as possible, and the naval guns on all the surrounding frigates were also aimed at Vision. My name is Vision, I'm not here to fight you, I want to talk to your captain. Vision said, his voice spread throughout the mothership. On the mothership, the captain in charge of commanding the mothership and the entire fleet was hesitant. They are well aware of the strength of those superhero. If he appeared in front of them so upright, if the other party suddenly attacked, then he would not be able to resist. Contact me the Avengers immediately. The captain shouted, and the correspondent immediately connected to the headquarters of Avengers. Stark, War Machine, and Natasha Romanoff, all 3 appear on the monitor at the same time. What's the matter? Stark asked. A guy called Vision came outside, and he said he wanted to talk to us. Said the captain. Vision, then let him in, let's talk to him together. Stark replied. He's a man in that research institute. If we let him in, how will our safety be guaranteed? Said the captain. Guaranteed. Oh, if they really wanted to kill you, they wouldn't be in front of you. Stark said dismissively. Wu Chen's wormhole technology can completely shoot someone in the head from thousands of miles away. If he wants to kill a person, that person will not even know how. Although your information shows that he is omnipotent, I now have a whole fleet, and the fleet is equipped with the most advanced weapon system. Just to deal with a few people, we are still able to capture it. The captain is very confident. Since you are so confident, why should you be afraid of Vision? Why not let him in? Natasha Romanoff said. The captain hesitated. In the end, you think you are absolutely safe with soldiers standing in front of you, typically standing and talking without backache. Quicksilver's voice sounded in the captain's room. Before he knew it, he had already entered here, and now he was sitting on the chair that the captain used to be arrogant in his usual meetings. How do you? What's wrong with me? Quicksilver looked up at the captain. Several soldiers around, all stood up at this moment. But before they could draw out their guns, the captain waved his hand to interrupt. He knew very well that if Quicksilver could come in like a ghost, it was definitely not something they could deal with. Oh, you meant to ask me how I got in, right? Quicksilver said, and then, in a flash, had an extra stake in his hand. That's how I walked in from the door, you didn't miss it, did you? As Quicksilver spoke, he was already cutting the steak immaculately and enjoying the delicious beef. The captain's face was very ugly, because he knew that the beef was made by the chef on the ship, and it was originally intended to be eaten by himself in a while. But now, Quicksilver brought it, that is to say, he ran from the captain's room to the kitchen before talking to himself, and then came back here with the steak. As for the captain, during this process, he just blinked his eyes. Now, may I come in and talk to you in detail? Vision's voice came again. The soldiers elsewhere on the ship didn't understand what he meant, but the captain did. He thought that, as the captain, in the safest captain's room on the mothership, he could command the troops to surround the research institute with peace of mind. But now he realizes that as long as he gets here, no matter where he hides, it is not safe. The captain picked up the communicator and communicated to the soldiers outside, "Let him come in." Shortly after that, Vision came in, and he was seriously led by the soldiers on the ship to the captain's room. However, after the Quicksilver incident, the captain no longer dared to disrespect these superheroes. Although these people look exactly like normal people, their abilities are elusive. In a serious comparison, superheroes like Stark and War Machine are not that big of a deal. After all, although they are wearing armor to show off their power, their attack methods are still formal. Compared with Quicksilver's elusive movements, there is a huge difference. The most important thing is that people all over the world know that Quicksilver, Vision and Scarlet Witch are just ordinary people in this institute. The most powerful one is Wu Chen. "Hello, Captain," Vision said respectfully. "Vision, aren't you going to say hello to us?" Roar. Stark's voice came. Although he was not here, the communicator in the captain's room was always on. "Hello Mr. Stark, Colonel Lord, Ms. Natasha Romanoff." Vision greeted them politely. "I sent you a copy of the superhero registration bill, don't you have any opinions?" Stark asked. "Our thoughts are not important, what is important is that Wu Chen did not intend to ignore this so-called bill." Vision replied. "Speaking of which, you were originally created by me, but now you have become Wu Chen's subordinate, and you are obedient to his words." Stark has always been uneasy about this. Ultron and Vision were all created by him and with the assistance of Dr. Banner. But Ultron, who was the first to create, became a big villain who wanted to oppose him and destroy all mankind. The Vision created later was cut off by Wu Chen after its success. Not long after Wu Chen brought him to the Research Institute, Vision has now completely become a subordinate of Wu Chen. "I didn't listen to anything. The mission of my existence is to protect this planet and the people here, and as far as I know, it is best for the Earth to follow Wu Chen's instructions." Vision said. "Now, what are you doing here to find this so-called captain?" Stark asked. "I'm here to persuade you to leave as soon as possible, and don't think about anything about the Institute and Wu Chen from now on, it's better when Wu Chen and the Institute don't exist." Vision said. "This is impossible. The Superhero Registration Act was formulated by countries all over the world. All superheroes should follow the jump of the bill. If they violate the law, they are criminals and must be jointly sanctioned by all countries." The captain said. He is very supportive of this so-called bill. "If you really intend to do this, then you must be mentally prepared to suffer destruction." Quicksilver's words, although very rude, but this is the truth. It is him and Vision who are here, but if it is Wu Chen who is here today, it is estimated that the entire fleet has been destroyed. Wu Chen will not take the initiative to provoke them, but anyone who tries to provoke Wu Chen will not end well. Compared with other people on this planet, Wu Chen is a transcendent existence, and no one can stop him from doing anything on this earth. I am afraid, in the entire universe, there is not necessarily someone who can stop it. I can tell you clearly that before we came, Wu Chen actually planned to activate the weapon system on the island directly and destroy your fleet. It was after a few persuasion from us that he gave you this chance." As Quicksilver spoke, Vision frowned a little, but he did not interrupt what Quicksilver was going to say next. "If you leave here, we can still pretend that the matter of your soldiers besiege the Institute has not happened, but if you don't leave within 24 hours, you will welcome the anger from the Chao Institute of Gods." Quicksilver said. "Supernatural Institute. When did you give the Institute a name?" Stark asked. His focus always seems to be different from that of ordinary people, but in the end, this is just to distract other people's attention. The Research Institute has always been researching supernatural technology, so although Wu Chen did not name the Research Institute, we think that it is the Supernatural Research Institute. Quicksilver replied. "Is it the time to care what the institute is called?" Natasha Romanoff asked. "That's right. The focus right now should be, are you going to go by yourself, or are you going to stay in this sea forever?" Vision said. "I can't decide on this matter, it's the parliament that brought us here, the superhero registration bill signed by all countries, I can't go against these without authorization," said the captain. "Then contact someone who can make a decision. You don't have much time." Quicksilver said. "Contact Congressman Ross, He is now the main person in charge of the superhero registration bill, and this matter can only be decided by him. Stark said. General Thunderbolt Ross. There are details about him in the Big Clock, which shows that he is an avid Hulk hunter, and has a certain hostility to all superhero. Vision mobilized the data of the Big Clock. Vision, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are all subordinates of Wu Chen, so Wu Chen gave them permission to investigate the general data in the Big Clock, and he saw the relevant information of Ross. He actually represents the position of most ordinary people, or most of the military and the government. Stark said, although he doesn't like Ross, but he agrees with Ross's ideas. Those uncontrollable superheroes really need to be in the hands of governments around the world to ensure that they do not become a danger to all of humanity. Then, hopefully he won't make any stupid decisions. Vision said so, but he already had a bad premonition in his heart. In the end, the captain contacted Senator Ross. After reporting the details to Congressman Ross, the Congressman Ross immediately responded. No matter who you are, you can't be above the law. The Superhero Registration Act is a law that was finally formulated by countries around the world. Even Wu Chen is no exception. General Ross's answer was very clear. Unless Wu Chen signs the Superhero Registration Act, his existence is illegal, and illegal people must be controlled by the government and never use super ability again. Ross said, and upon hearing this, both Quicksilver and Vision understood what it meant. It is impossible for the fleet to leave, and once more than 24 hours have passed, Wu Chen will not give them any chance. By then, war will inevitably occur. Moreover, this war will be a one-sided slaughter. Since, if you insist on doing this, then from this moment on, the two of us will declare war on you. Vision came to Quicksilver's side, and the two had reached a unified mind. Instead of waiting for Wu Chen to take action and let all the people in the naval fleet die, it is better for them to take action and defeat them all, and then force them to leave. Declaring war. Do you know what that means? Rose's face was very serious, and even the captain and Stark who had been on the sidelines realized the seriousness of the problem. If you insist on leaving, we have no choice. Vision said. The golden gem on his head, specially made by Wu Chen, radiated a dazzling light. Although this gem is not as powerful as the Mind Gem, it is made of dark iron elements. During the period, it is a core created with the most advanced super god technology, which is basically similar to the medium in the Gorilla Eater. Void Engine in general. This Void Engine does not come with the Void Strike ability, but strengthens the original attack ability of the gem, which allows Vision to shoot powerful level fixed star energy through the gem. When needed, the original material structure of Vision can also be changed, so that Vision can penetrate the barriers of other objects just like when it originally had the Mind Gem. If we take action, you will at least have a chance to survive, but if Wu Chen takes action, you will surely die. Quicksilver also began to arm himself, and the equipment on his body began to be replaced with vibranium material. Through nanotechnology, the clothes are similar in weight to ordinary clothes, but they can protect Quicksilver's body well. In addition, Quicksilver's physical fitness has also been modified to a certain extent by Wu Chen, at least in terms of durability. It is much more stable than in the past, which makes Quicksilver participate in battles like the Battle of Sokovia in the movie. There will not be the situation of excessive physical exertion at that time. Stark on the other side of the communicator, the moment he saw the gem on Vision's head and the equipment on Quicksilver, he already understood that the current Quicksilver and Vision, their strength is stronger than what they knew before. Mr. Ross, with all due respect, if you really want to go to war, you're going to lose badly. Stark reminded. In that fleet, there are at least more than 20,000 soldiers, as well as more than 1,000 elites and more than 200 agents. There are only 2 of them. I'm afraid I can't control them. Ross was more confident than the captain. The confidence ahead of the captain, since the arrival of Quicksilver and Vision had been wiped out, but Ross at the moment in the Pentagon, he was safe. Everyone, retreat now, the captain suddenly shouted, making the atmosphere in the captain's room instantly awkward. Ma Dan, you are giving orders in the Pentagon, but I am on the front line. You are not afraid of death, I am afraid. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.